The interesting thing about that song is how many people's voices I don't recognise anymore. I got, who's not famous in there? The Gobby woman from M People and David Baddiel from the Lightning Seeds. Well, let's see if we can turn this into a perfect day.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Beds Police Commissioner says referendum was the right thing to do. Welwyn Hatfield MP loses party chairman's job, and Bedford Hospital ready to link up with Cambridge.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says he doesn't regret his decision to hold a referendum on more funding for the county's police force. Ollie Martin says they face losing more than 100 officers. Now people have rejected his scheme to raise the share of council tax by what would have been 48 pence a week for Band D properties.
What was the alternative? Just sit there and watch Bedfordshire Police fall into a £6 million budget shortfall and face the loss of up to 135 police officers? As I've said, that was not a situation that I was prepared to just sit there and do nothing about.
The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister. The first all-Conservative cabinet for 18 years meets in Downing Street this morning. The Prime Minister will say he plans to give priority to passing new laws cutting the maximum a household can claim in benefits and doubling free childcare for 3- and 4-year-olds. North East Bedfordshire MP Alistair Burt is the new Health Minister. More ministers will be appointed today. A mental health patient who stabbed a shop worker in the neck in Aylesbury is found guilty of wounding with intent but cleared of attempted murder. Reading Crown Court heard 63-year-old David Clark attack the man at the shop in Buckingham Street last September, leaving him with life-changing injuries. Clark is due to be sentenced next month. The newly re-elected MP for Bedford says he's committed to ensuring a future for the town's hospital by working in partnership with Addenbrooke's in Cambridge. In March, it was announced that health services in Bedfordshire are facing a record deficit of £40 million by the end of the year. Richard Fuller says doctors want to see the alliance happen.
Doctors here have come to the conclusion, and I agree with them, that an alliance with Addenbrooke's is the right combination for Bedford. It's my job now to support them and make sure that the Department of Health and the Secretary of State for Health hears that message and enables us to make that alliance happen.
The online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable which is set to create 500 jobs. It's at Prologis Park in Boscombe Road and is due to open in the autumn. The company says recruitment will start immediately. Amazon already operates sites in Hemel Hempstead and at junction 13 of the M1. More men aged 40 to 54 are being admitted to hospital with strokes. The charity, the Stroke Association, says the figure's gone up by more than half over the past 15 years. It's blaming rising levels of obesity. In sport, Kevin Peterson has been told he will not be recalled by England despite scoring a career-best 326 not out for Surrey yesterday. The 34-year-old, sacked by England in February 2014, met Andrew Strauss, England's new director of cricket, last night. The weather: a cloudy start with some outbreaks of rain this morning, brighter and sunnier this afternoon, a maximum temperature 18 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Apparently, Simon has written in his contract he's allowed to play a 10-second, drum solo at the end of every bulletin, and that's... I mean, now that everybody's job at the BBC is under pressure thanks to the new government, we are doing all we can to keep our place and indeed the licence fee secure. Do you really want my kids to go hungry? Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's, That's better. I'm going deaf. I have to have the headphones like mega loud and stuff, isn't it? Let's have a look. Let's see what's on the show today. Ah, yes. Okay. On the show today, no police. Some scoins. Lots of Justin Dealey covered in butter. finger-licking good. Yep, that's it. That's it.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties.
Yeah. Are you naked if you've got paint on you? That's the question in the rabbit hole this morning. 08459 455 555. We're also, and I don't think I made this clear last week, it's the All-Star Request Hour. So any time between 6 and 7 when we're down the rabbit hole, you can phone up and say, I want to hear that old man who's since passed away talking about his favourite squashed vegetables.
I like a mushy pea.
Or you can phone up and say, I want to hear a woman talking about the time she saw a panther. What happened?
Run for your life.
08459 455 555. Or maybe I want to hear that illegal immigrant talking about breasticles.
So boobs is not news.
It's up to you. You can call for any of
If
them.
it's only a few pence a week, then
Hang on.
the central government should pay.
Well, hang on. Oh, well, that's... Who? Hang on a minute. Oh, blimey. Oh, God. I was being all smooth then. Hang on a minute. That wasn't the Ramones. Hang on. This is the Ramones. Hang on. Get rid of Diana Ross. If only we could. I'm not in any way advocating the murder of Diana Ross. Just, I should make that clear. OK? I'm not... but, no. I'm not. It's not your standard Ramones, but I think it sums up a lot of our attitude. Certainly not my place in the 9 to 5 world. Thank you, Paul. My place is in the 6 to 9 world. On BBC Three Counties Radio. We won't be here in 6 months' time.
No, we'll be in Dunstable.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Well, yeah. Let's see. Now, the people of Bedfordshire have said no to paying more council tax for more police officers. The county's police and crime commissioner I won't read it as it's written, I'll read it in English. The county's Police and Crime Commissioner, Ollie Martins, said the additional money would pay for 100 extra officers. But over 69% of those who voted didn't like the idea, and it's been rejected. Political reporter Paul Scoins, you were at the count yesterday. It was bad, but we knew it was going to be bad.
We did. It was bad. It was as bad as predicted by his very own polling. The Commissioner did some polling ahead of this referendum, and 70% of people, when put the question on the ballot paper, said no. And that's roughly the numbers who said no in the actual referendum as well. So he was aware of it. He did know, I think, from quite far out that it was going to be a tough job. He wasn't allowed to campaign.
Was he not?
No, not to the same extent that you would expect politicians to be able to go and do. He's constrained by the rules. And I think that actually had an issue. He said that when he went out and spoke to people on the streets to say, this is what I would use the money for, people's views changed. Indeed, more people were supporting the idea of paying that extra cash, and 91,000 people still did. It's just unfortunately for him.
It was like 18 quid a year or something for 100 more coppers.
I think it was, yes, it was about 25 quid.
£25
for an average house.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It could be less, could be more. It was about 7 pence a day. That was how it was.
Several people have said that the question was maybe not quite as straightforward as it could have been, and perhaps not as clear as it could have been. Again, that's down to the restrictions in place.
He couldn't have worded the question any differently for him. Unfortunately, as he says, it was a straight question saying, do you want the council tax in Bedfordshire, police part of the council tax, to go up by 15.8% or 2%? And when faced with that in difficult economic times, what do you expect people to go for? So that's what he was left with. We've got a clip here of some people who were voting in this referendum and which way they ended up going.
I think if it's only a few pence a week, then central government should pay.
I think any public services can do with more money. And here we got a vote to say yes or no. We said yes.
Yes, I did vote, and I voted no. Really for the same reasons. I think we pay enough council tax and taxes in general.
Is he? Ollie Martins, coming in later on, has had a string of, let's put it politely, embarrassments. Some could say a bit more. He's had investigations. He's said things to people that he shouldn't have said. And now this. Is Ollie Martins out of his depth? Ooh.
I don't. This is the first time that this role has ever been created. So he's always breaking new ground, as all of these PCCs are. They're all
breaking new ground. That's an interesting way of describing getting soundly voted down and having investigations.
He said that this was the only way that he could raise the money. The money isn't coming from central government. Central government are saying you've got to do more to save money around the edges. You've got to do more collaboration. He says, well, we're already doing lots of collaboration with other forces. They've merged their major crime unit, they've merged their forensics unit, they share their air services, they share their dog services.
David Cameron has said that Beds Police is one of the best funded in the country.
Well, not according to the statistics I've seen. If you look at the amount of crimes taking place in the county versus the amount of funding that the county force gets, it is disproportionate. You look at the crimes that happen in Bedfordshire in terms of the numbers, they're up there with the Metropolitan Force, higher in some cases than Birmingham, Manchester. You look at the amount of money they're getting proportionate to those crimes, and it's way down.
Here's the thing. You're right. How long have we had PCCs? 2 years?
It's 2012, wasn't it? End of 2012.
Okay, so 2.5 years. And this is a new job. This is a new role. Here's the thing. Is Ollie Martins a naive fool, or is he a trailblazer? Because a lot of people were watching this referendum. A lot of other PCCs and other police forces were watching this referendum to see which way it went.
Absolutely. It was the first of its kind. And in 2011, the coalition brought in a rule whereby if you wanted to raise the council tax above a certain percentage, which was set every year by Eric Pickles, you would have to put it to a referendum. And it was set at 2% this year. And Ollie Martin says, well, if I was to do that at 2%, the minimum I was allowed to increase it by, that won't fund anywhere near the amount of officers I need to do the sort of investigative work for historic child abuse cases, to investigate cybercrime, which is really one of the biggest crimes we are now facing. Yep. It funds terrorism, it funds, really nasty things. Only a couple of weeks ago, we had Sir Hugh Ord, who's the former chief of the Association of Chief Police Officers, someone who you would think knows what he's talking about, saying that if this money doesn't come through, that the force's ability to fight things like terrorism is going to be compromised. We've had a statement from the police yesterday from the Deputy Chief Constable, John Butcher, saying Bedfordshire Police supports the brave decision of the Police and Crime Commissioner to ask the electorate for extra funding. The rules meant he couldn't campaign, he couldn't properly explain the justification, and we suffer from an outdated funding formula that doesn't give us with a fair amount of funding. They are in a position, I wouldn't say unlike any other force, because there are other rural forces who are funded, tightly as well, but it doesn't, look good for them. They have a difficult situation.
OK, Paul, listen, thank you very much. We're talking to Ollie Martins later on. Can we get you back just after 1:30? You all right?
Yeah.
We'll play What's the Story Morning Glory.
Oh, I like that.
We'll also get your Eurovision countdown update.
Oh.
But before you go, one question. The election result, Tory majority, you happy with the outcome?
I'm happy to be here, Ian.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's already looking busy on the North Orbital Road at the M25 junction 21A roundabout, but it's still looking quiet so far on the M25 on the CCTV cameras. In Beaconsfield on the A40 London Road, there's a lane closed because electricity works going on at the Piebush roundabout. And in Milton Keynes on the A421 Standing Way, there's still roadworks going on at the Kingston roundabout, so expect delays there as it gets busy later on. No reports of any delays so far on the trains. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Paul, we finished now.
OK.
You're still standing looking at my computer screen.
I can't
Why?
Stand up at the moment.
Sorry?
Stand up at the moment.
6:17. It's great to know that the staff here are so keen, and let's hope that the government remember that when they're discussing paying the licence fee, for crying out loud. 6:17. It is Tuesday, the 12th of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says he doesn't regret his decision to hold a referendum on more funding for the county's police force. The Welwyn-Hatfield MP, Grant Shapps, has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister. And the newly re-elected for MP for Bedford says he is committed to ensuring a future for the town's hospital by working in partnership with Adam Brooks in Cambridge. 08459 455 555. You can phone up and request your favourite clips.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Original British drama on BBC One. Two magicians shall appear in England. The name of one shall be Fearfulness.
I am the man who is destined to restore magic to England.
The name of the other, Arrogance.
It is time for me to become the magician I am destined to be.
The first shall be governed by thieves and murderers.
Mr. Strange should know what kind of a man he is dealing with.
The second shall conspire at his own destruction.
It is the magician who thwarts us. We must destroy him utterly.
Starring Eddie Marsan and Bertie Carvel. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Starts on Sunday night at 9 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
Excuse me. We're down the rabbit hole. We're phoning up to ask, are you naked if you have paint on? You're phoning up to ask. No, hang on. I'm asking and you're phoning. Doesn't matter. And we're also taking your requests. Marty McFly says on Twitter, please can I request a hell mess?
Hell mess.
And that woman talking about her nephew getting a gold star for drawing a penis. For legal reasons, we can't play that one. Scott's on the line. Morning, Scott.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, Scott. What's the weather like where you are?
It's lovely, really bright and
beautiful.
Cheery.
Absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you just heard Paul Scoynes there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What do you reckon? Shall we keep him or let him go?
What does he think of the election? The outcome?
He's been very. He's been sitting on the. He's going to get splinters up that backside.
He sounded really pleased to me.
He did, didn't he sound pleased?
He did.
Scott, what are you called in for, mate?
I wanted to make a request.
Yeah, sure. What would you like to ask for?
Could I have Kath saying, it's people. Let's talk, it's people.
Why would you like that?
It's my favourite.
Tell us a little bit about it, why that means so much to you.
Well, I first heard it a few years ago, and it's just been a big part of my life ever since.
Okay, well, would you like to introduce it?
This is Catherine Boyle saying, it's people, come on, let's talk.
It's people. Let's talk to each other.
Scott, would you like a song off the back of Kath?
Yes, please.
What would you like to have?
Could I have the Ollie Martin song?
You could have Eternal.
That would be brilliant, man.
The Ollie Martin song. Is there one?
Yes, I see you crying. Yeah. And I feel your broken heart. Yeah. I can feel your hurting. Yeah. Still, you choose to play the part. If you let me be, I'll be all you need. All you need. I wanna be the only one to hold you, touch you from the right. I wanna be the only one to soothe you, erase all the pain. I wanna be the only one to love you over again. I wanna be the only one I am. Now you deserve a mansion. My Lord, you do. You can have the best of life. With all this, I'll give you a pure love that gold can't buy. If you take a chance, I'll be worth the chance. Worth the chance. Oh, I wanna be the only one to hold you, touch you from the right. I wanna be the only one to soothe you, erase all the pain. I wanna be the only one to love you over again. I wanna be the only one, if you let me be, I'll be all you need. Yeah. If you take a chance, I'll be worth the chance. Oh my, if you just love me, you will clearly see I'm all you need.
It's people. Let's talk, it's people.
Yes, I wanna be the only one to love you over again. Hey, I wanna be the only one, the only one. I wanna be the only one, the only one. Oh, I wanna be the only one, the only one.
It's people. Let's talk to each other.
Oh, get a room, you two. Get a room. I like Eternal, and I don't care what anyone says. I like Eternal. Louise Nerdy. Remember the first time I saw Eternal? It was on the telly. And what was the first song they did, Matt?
What was the first song they did?
I just said it.
Stay? I don't know. I'm not an Eternal fan.
You just said you like it.
No.
We're just having a conversation about how you're an Eternal fan. We're just literally just having that conversation.
No. I said I like some of those songs, and Stay is one of my favourites, but I don't know the first song, do I?
Anyway, the first time they were on telly, it was probably on Crackerjack or something.
Snackerjack?
And they were dressed in vaguely military-style outfits. And I thought they all looked hot, but Louise Nerding, I just fell totally in love with her. Then she became a Pop-Tart, and I'm not that bothered by her.
How many of them were they?
4.
4, right.
4, then there were 3, then there were 2.
Right.
Then there were none, and I think there are 3 again. Apparently the 2 sisters, hard work.
They're underrated, really. They never got the recognition they deserve.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, mate. Yes, you did.
I said recognition.
Now, it's the recognition. Now, a mother and daughter from Watford have pleaded guilty to fraudulently claiming, get this, guys, over £200,000 in benefits. 70-year-old Bushra Begum and her daughter Tabassum had 100 different accounts in a variety. How could you get 100 different accounts? Blimey. The multiple fraud was uncovered by Watford Borough Police. Matt Lockwood has got more. Matt, this is an astonishing case. 2 women, hundreds of thousands of pounds. Incredible.
Indeed this is. Sorry, Tabassum Begum amassed almost £160,000 by using 79 different bank accounts in a variety of names. This was made up of overpayments in housing and council tax benefit and income support.
Yeah.
Now, she was able to claim these 3 benefits between July 2003 and July 2012, despite having too much money to be entitled to any of them. Her mother, Bushra, used 21 different accounts to scam her way to over £62,000. So, like you say, astonishing.
What's been the response from those investigating the case, Matt?
Well, Gary Turner is a fraud manager at Watford Borough Council. He told us that they had opened more bank accounts than any fraud case we've ever dealt with before. In terms of the financial investigation, it was a lot more time-consuming than most fraud cases we deal with. We had lots of different witnesses at the court coming from all over the country, from all the different banks and organisations where they'd opened up accounts. Then they both changed their plea to guilty on the day their trials were due to begin. I suppose they had no choice, did they, really?
Well.
These prosecutions show the lengths to which some will go down to con the system, but we will crack down on people who abuse the system.
And when will the pair be sentenced?
Well, last month, Tassum pleaded guilty to 3 counts of theft and 1 count of fraud at St Albans Crown Court. Bushra pleaded guilty to 4 charges of dishonest representation for obtaining benefit, and the pair will be sentenced at St Albans Crown Court on Friday the 26th of June.
What's your biggest fear, Matt?
My biggest fear is losing my hair. At some point.
At some point.
My dad was bald, my brother's going bald, I don't want to go bald as well.
You know that you are going bald?
No, I'm not. No, my hairline is receding.
That's going bald, mate?
No, it's receding, but I'm not going bald.
The hairline receding is going bald. That's going bald.
Well, it's perhaps a sign, but I tend to be an optimistic...
You brush it forward?
Yes,
OK.
Well, look, this is my hairline.
Yep.
You can't see this on the radio?
No, I can't see it in the room because you've covered it with your hand.
Wait a minute.
OK, yep. Yeah, oh, mate. My biggest fear is being found guilty of a murder that I'd never committed.
Right.
That would be such a bit... And you get sentenced... The gavel comes down. They don't have them in this country, but in my fantasy, the gavel is... I sentence you to a minimum of 40 years imprisonment for the murder. And I'm going, I didn't do it. I didn't. And my family, my children, my wife would all turn against me because the evidence would really stack up. They'd have my fingerprints on the knife, and I don't know how those fingerprints got there, Your Honour. Well, and that's why I got... But I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do the murder. That's my worst fear. Kelly, what's your worst fear?
Great film, though.
Thank you.
That'd make a great film.
Wouldn't it, just? Is that your biggest fear, watching the film of that incident?
Next to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Your biggest...
You're a killer.
I'd be looking after the popcorn.
What?
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 OK, hang on a second. This has all got very psychedelic.
It's people. Let's talk, it's people.
Exactly, guys, you know?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Mill Hill still on the A1 Watford Way. That's looking very busy from the Apex corner towards Mill Hill Circus. And in Neasden as well, the North Circular Road's building up between the M1 at the Staples Corner flyover and Wembley. In Bricketwood, the North Orbital Road's starting to look busy at the junction 21A roundabout for the M25, but no delays showing up on the M25. On the trains, London Midland were reported to have delays through Northampton because of a signalling problem, but we've just been told they've been cleared. But the 6:41 train from Stevenage to London King's Cross is delayed by 20 minutes. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just, if you want... Sammy, stay there 1 second, please. Justin, if you want to take this to the streets, I know you're back quickly. What's your biggest fear? What's your biggest fear, Sammy?
Spiders.
Really?
They were all over the house last night. We were chasing them out.
Oh, well, big ones?
Big ones, really big, like the ones that will be the size of your hand by the end of the summer.
Yeah. Your biggest fear, please. 08459 455 555. For Matt, it's going bald. For Sammy, it's spiders. For me, it's going to prison for a murder. What I did not commit. Didn't do it.
Herts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says he doesn't regret his decision to hold a referendum on more funding for the county's police force. Ollie Martin says they face losing more than 100 officers. Now people have rejected his scheme to raise the share of council tax. The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister. And the newly re-elected MP for Bedford says he's committed to ensuring a future for the town's hospital by working in partnership with Addenbrooke's in Cambridge.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kevin Peterson has been told he will not be recalled by England despite scoring a career-best 326 not out for Surrey yesterday. The 34-year-old, sacked by England in February 2014, met Andrew Strauss, England's new director of cricket, last night. Here's Jonathan Agnew.
What an irony. The very evening Peterson scores a triple century and his highest score in first-class cricket, he's told once again that he won't be chosen for England. In truth, it's not a surprise and only became an issue when the incoming chairman Colin Graves appeared to signal the possibility of a return. Peterson has certainly scored the runs, but for those who decided his time with England was over, his ability was not the issue. But you can only admire the tenacity of a man who, knowing this meeting was scheduled and surely what its outcome was likely to be, scored 326. Not out.
In last night's Premier League game, Arsenal lost 1-0 at home to Swansea. It's the first time Arsene Wenger's side have lost in the Premier League in 3 months.
It's unlucky, I believe, and undeserved against a team who only defended with so many chances. And we are very disappointed because I think we made a big mistake at the back on the goal. But overall, the quality of our game was better and better. In the second half, it was very good quality. We couldn't finish well our chances. In the end, we paid for it.
Swindon are through to face Preston in the League One playoff final after a 10-goal thriller against Sheffield United. It finished 5-5 to send Swindon through 7-6 on aggregate. The Wycombe striker Paul Hayes has told Three Counties Sport he will be fit for Thursday's playoff semi-final second leg against Plymouth. Hayes was injured in the first leg after scoring the opening goal, but says he'll be fine.
No, it's just a precaution. You know, it looked nasty, but, you know, you take some knocks and stuff in a game sort of thing. But, no, it was just obviously just a, you know, precaution, obviously, people have to do sort of thing. I'm fine.
BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Knocking down my door and I can't sleep at night.
bottom.
He's only wearing a suit. Baby, baby, when I look at you, I get a warm feeling inside.
It's people. Let's talk to each other.
Morning, guys. Sick Note's not here, so Kelly is Sick Note. Matt is Kelly.
Good morning.
Now, we're asking what... let me do Andy first, because Andy's been waiting for ages. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, Ian.
What you got for us, fella? Apart from a bunged-up nose, it sounds like. Are you all right, my love?
Bit of hay fever, mate.
A bit of what?
Hay fever.
Oh, OK. Oh, you need tunes.
Yeah.
OK, Andy, what have you got for us?
The referendum.
Yes.
I don't think it should have been held.
Why? It only costs about £650,000.
I know, that's the point.
Ah.
And also, there's several reasons. One is that if the police were able to raise the council tax for their purposes, why not other government departments?
You're worried it would have set a bad precedent?
It would. And also, if they had been successful and they got all these extra officers, what about the knock-on effect of every other department that is in the criminal justice system, such as the courts, the probation service?
Hang on, are you saying that you don't want more police officers?
Well, I don't if they're going to raise
the arrest level.
Yeah, the arrest level, and then the knock-on effect on other people, because the system won't be able to cope. That's not the way to do it.
Hang on a minute. See, I don't think I've ever had anybody phone in and say they don't want more police officers. This is unprecedented, Andrew.
Well, the thing, I don't want more police officers if it's going to be at the cost of an increase in the council tax. No, and that's the result of the referendum. So, and it was a huge majority. So I'm not thinking any different from the people who voted in the referendum.
No, it was a massive majority. So you're happy with the number of coppers that there are, and there'll be more cuts. You're happy with that?
Well, I'm not happy with it, but I don't think the way to get round it is by putting up the council tax.
Someone's got to pay for it. We pay for the police anyway, so why not pay 25 quid a year more?
Well, they've got to actually think of other ways of saving money. They could amalgamate. The courts have had to amalgamate with other counties. Why not the police?
Well, the police are doing that, but Beds has got to make another, I think, like £20 million worth of savings coming up soon.
Not 20 million. It's not as great as that.
It is. I think it's as great as that. My team now are using their fingers on a computer. It's something like, I know Paul's in the building. Maybe Paul can instant message me the figures.
6 million, as I heard.
I thought I'm shouting upstairs, Andy. That's why, though, because he's probably listening to Heart upstairs.
Yeah.
He's probably not got us on. I thought that they had to make something like 20 million quid's worth of savings over the next few years, and that's on top of the savings that they've already made.
Right, well, a lot of other government departments are going to make those savings, and they're not going to get an increase in the council tax. That's the point. Why should the police be any different? If they want extra, they've got to get it by efficiencies. OK, and that's what David Cameron said.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
OK, and where do they... Paul, come in. Paul Scoins. Paul Scoins has turned up, Andy, he's either going to pwn me or he's going to pwn you. I suspect you're going to get your bottom spanked here, but he might be coming in to spank my bottom. Let's find out. Paul, talking to Andy, we're having a discussion about how much money Ollie Martins has got to save. I reckon it's about 20 million quid. He says 6.
6 is the shortfall, but that's not the savings. I mean, the savings is going to be big over the next 5 years, but we think it will be probably more than 6. I think it'll be closer to 20.
So, sorry, Andy, you just got your bum spanked.
Yeah, well, that's over the next 5 years. The immediate cut is 6 million. And a lot of other departments are going to make severe cuts as well. And they're not going to get an increase.
Hang on a second, Andy. Let Paul Scoins is about to own your ass and sell it. Scoins, own him.
And I think the 6 million figure you've got, Andy, is the shortfall which the force is projected to have over the next few years, and I think it is over 5 years. But the savings that they're going to have to make on top of that shortfall are going to be higher than that. So they'll be. I mean, Ollie Martins will be able to explain it in more detail. But I think actually you're both wrong.
Andy, on that note, I think it's a good time to say goodbye. Thanks for your call, mate. Ta-ta. Bye-bye. Maybe that's the part of the problem.
Yeah.
is that people don't know. People don't know exactly what the situation is. But both Andy and I knew different things.
The returning officer yesterday at the count...
Return this!
...said that he was very concerned about the lack of awareness of what people were voting for.
Okay.
And there's a kind of there's a question there about whether or not something can be democratic if you don't actually know what you're voting for. And he said it's a lesson for future referendums.
Okay, well, it's time for this. You came at just the right time. We're also asking what's your fear. 08459 455. We'll get to that in a minute, Scoins. But first of all, let's have a little bit of this. This is a good one. Matt, Kelly Betts, you're playing as well.
I'm not cheating. I'm covering
He's
my
shielding
eyes.
his eyes.
No, I'm not cheating.
Page 7 of the Sun. Hard as granite. Hard as granite. Scoins, you're the special guest today. What do you think?
I can only assume this is another one of those wonderful stories where an old lady has beaten off an assailant.
Wow.
Using her handbag.
Oh.
Bag.
So you're saying an old lady has beaten off a mugger?
Yeah.
No.
Close, though.
Oh.
Must be.
Kelly Betts?
Yeah, it's a gran.
Yep.
Tough gran.
Yeah.
She has punched
Yeah.
an evil dog in the face.
Matt Lockwood.
I'm going to stay out of this.
No,
I can't really add anything to what you've said.
No, you're not.
So I look like an idiot, so I'm not going to even...
Well, just by saying that, you look like an idiot.
Good, so there we go.
So there we go. Who's squeaking?
It's Matt.
Is it me? I can't be squeaking. How can
It
I
could be you,
Is it you?
actually. It might be you.
It's not me.
Is it you, Scoins?
Tough great-gran Sarah Jolt, 61. She's a great-gran at 61. Oh, what a family.
Modern society, innit?
The modern society. Broken Britain. Broken something if she's a great-gran. 61 of Chelsea, West Sussex, has raised £110,000 doing Ironmen.
Oh.
Triathlons.
Okay.
Since 2001, that's over 14 years. That's not that many. That's not that much money.
Well, have you done any Ironmen?
Yeah, shed loads, mate.
Have you?
I've not entered the competition.
Oh, you just done for fun.
Just entered the Ironman. Page 14 we go to. Who's whistling?
I think it's Kelly.
Yeah, it's Kelly.
Yeah, stop whistling.
It's not.
Matt, put your ears near the microphone, Matt.
And the other one.
The other ear.
The other ear.
Right, Kelly, yours. Scoins, yours. Me.
No, it's Scoins' other ear.
Right,
Your
okay.
other ear. It's Scoins.
Scoins.
Hang on, it's my hearing aid. I'll sit back.
No, we should. All right, okay, hang on a second. Right, here we go. S Club revving. This doesn't even make sense. The reason we do this is because these headlines are rubbish. S Club revving. We'll start with Lockers. S Club revving. That's the story. That's the headline. What's the story, Morning Glory? We've got to go to travel soon, so, keep these ones sharp, kids.
Well, it involves S Club 7 to start off with.
You would think.
So they're revving. So they're racing. They're taking part in some racing thing. Somebody's been caught out speeding. One of the members
Bradley.
of S Club.
Well, he got caught before, didn't he, smoking a joint? So it's possible, but no, it's not.
Oh.
Kelly Betts. Okay. Paul Scollins.
I would say it's one of the members of S Club 7 who've either been appointed as possible new host on a TV motoring show or they're being caught speeding again.
No, a man caught undertaking an unmarked police car at 94 miles per hour told them he was speeding because he was late for an S Club 7 concert. I would just be late. Why would you want to speed for that?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, it's been closed clockwise between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield. It's because of a broken down lorry which has a big trailer carrying a crane that's broken down, but it's being removed at the moment, which is why the traffic's being held. On the M1 southbound, it's busy from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 9 for Redbourne, and in Milton Keynes on the A509 there's roadworks at the M1 junction 14 for Milton Keynes by the Northfield roundabout, so that could cause some delays. On the trains, the 6:53 service from Welwyn Garden City to London King's Cross is delayed by 20 45 minutes. There are some possible delays into King's Cross on the train departure boards this morning. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you. If you got paint on you, are you naked? What's your fear? And we're still taking requests in the All-Star Request Hour. 08459 455 555. What clips would you like to hear? 6:46, we'll have the weather in a second, but right now, these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says he doesn't regret his decision to hold a referendum on more funding for the county's police force. The Welwyn-Hatfield MP, Grant Shapps, has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. And the online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable, which is set to create 500 jobs. Let's get the weather. Here's Kate.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's quite a dull start out there at the moment. There's a lot of cloud around, and with it, maybe a bit of rain. It's not quite arrived with us yet, but it is moving towards us in a southeastwardly direction. We'll get some light patchy rain through this morning, but eventually it will clear this afternoon. It's a much brighter picture. Should see some decent spells of sunshine. We've got a bit more of a breeze compared to yesterday, but it is still going to be reasonably warm. We're looking at 18 Celsius at the maximum temperature. Now, it could be after this rain clears, we could see one or two showers develop further north you go. So don't be surprised if you run into those this afternoon, but that breeze will push them through. Overnight tonight, we've got a really nice end of the day actually with some sunshine, but then when the sun sets, the ridge of high pressure builds in, so the sky clears. Temperatures are dropping right down. Quite a chilly night for May, and temperatures down in the countryside could get down to around 3 or 4 Celsius, so it's possible in the prone spots we may get a sparkle or two of grass frost tomorrow morning. For tomorrow, chilly start, but another fine day. Plenty of sunshine around tomorrow. Reasonably warm, but we've picked up a northeasterly breeze. Not very strong, but it will feel cooler. 16 Celsius, 61 degrees in Fahrenheit, and that's your forecast.
Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Every day it's not just about great music and great conversation.
I'll get a bit technical here.
It's about local experts helping you across Beds, Hearts and Bucks.
So what we're talking about then is capital gains tax potentially on the portion of the property that they directly own.
On finance, relationships.
But look at the way that you have contributed to this situation.
Health.
When you have a cough, which can seem quite innocuous in this way, but just irritating. Asthma is something that we would think of.
Your pets.
Particularly if your dog is a border collie cross, it will be epilepsy.
And even law.
You still cannot say, Judge, you have to stick to this. But the judge's approach now is going to be, why shouldn't we?
Local advice for local people.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Got some texts, Betsy?
I have.
There we go.
Tony has a question for the rabbit hole.
Good morning, Tony.
He says, "Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir."
Do you know how to break a body clock? I'm on leave for a few days and my body clock still wakes me up at the shy light hours.
Yeah.
No work, but still waking up early. Any ideas how to fix it?
Yeah, I can fix it, mate. You've got to reset it. You've got to stay up late and watch a film. You've just got to stay up late and work through, and then when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you go, "No! I'm not doing it!" And you lie there and you'll go back to sleep. It'll take you 2 days. Next.
Okay. That's it. Thanks for answering.
Shouty Chris.
Hello, Ian.
Good morning, Chris.
My favourite clip, everyone in Britain deserves it for free.
Tell me why that means so much to you, Chris, before we play it.
Because I think you, on your own, undermined Ollie Martin by playing Mr. People.
I undermined it. Now, do you want it Acapulco, or do you want it with the Scottish cheer at the end?
Well, I'd rather have it with barbecue sauce, actually.
People in this country deserve to have stuff for free.
Yep.
There we go. Hey, Chris,
say that to Mr. Martin.
I will do. Say that to Justin.
Hey, Chris.
Justin.
How are you, Chris?
I'm fine, but people in this country deserve everything for free.
Can I ask a question, Chris? That man there...
You can ask anything of me, Justin.
Chris, that man was from Luton. I think you portrayed him as having an Asian accent.
No, I didn't. That's me. I just talk all differently all the time because, as Ian will tell you, I'm off the peg.
Justin, she's got very low standards, mate. She sleeps with prisoners.
Oh, but I never said that. Excuse me, that's so slanderous. I did never sleep with a prisoner.
Oh, you were wide awake all the time.
No, I never Conjugal rights with a prisoner.
You never had any what? You never had any what?
Conjugal rights.
You never had your
Conjugal rights.
Conjugal rights. Chris,
I never had none.
Chris, I'm sorry to hear that. Nice to talk to you, Chris. Have a good day.
Bye.
Ta-ta. Morning, Just.
She's fun, boss. I've got 3 requests.
Yeah, go on, fella.
3 requests.
Oh,
I want
okay.
to hear
Yeah.
about Sadiq's favourite hat.
Now... Oh, hang on a minute, my computer's broken. Hang on, here we go.
Stetson.
There we go,
Thank
sir.
you very much. I want to hear good morning, sir, to get me in the mood.
Good morning, sir.
And just for old time's sake, because this one really does mean the world to me, and it gives me inspiration on the streets every single day. I want to hear from David, Dad Pop, talking about where the idea came from.
Dad Pop. Where did that idea come from?
It came from my brain.
Justin, you've taken to the streets today. Well, there's a weird picture in the papers. It's Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
She's in the desert, and she's she's. I don't know where I've put the picture now. Anyway, she's got paint on. She's naked.
You'll be taking that home later on. I know you will.
Desert island dish Kim Kardashian, who I don't think is that attractive.
What?
Makes California even hotter, posing starkers in the stands. So she's naked, but she's got paint on over her nipples and her woo-wah. And the question we wanted to know is, if you've got paint on, are you naked? Does it count as clothing?
Well, I've taken this one to the streets, and Paul Scoyne said to me earlier, he said, "You're on the streets already?" I said, "Scoinsy, the streets, they never close. 24/7 access."
Well, you've got backstage pass, haven't you?
I have indeed. So I've been getting the word on the street. Take a listen. There's Kim. What do you think?
Nice.
Ever tried that?
No.
Just asking.
You're naked. Yeah, if you haven't got clothes on, you're still naked. But if you look like that, I'd do it.
Sorry to disturb. Who are you talking to there, boss?
My manager, please.
Oh, your manager. Does your manager think that Kim Kardashian is still naked, even though she's wearing body paint?
You can talk to him, not me. Hello.
Hello there, my name's J-Dog, I'm from Three Counties Radio. We're asking the question this morning. Kim Kardashian has had her latest photo shoot in the desert. She's wearing nothing apart from body paint. Is she still naked, yes or no? Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
All right, bye.
Are you still naked if you're wearing body paint?
Ask it again, please.
Are you still naked
If you're wearing body
if you're wearing body paint?
Possibly not, if it's strategically placed.
That's a great answer. Thanks very much.
There are some real philosophers out there, Justin. Real philosophisers.
Yeah, absolutely. Variety out there.
We're about to close the All-Star Request Day. Got another 5 minutes. 08459 455 555. We're going to finish the question on the paint. What we can take into the next hour, though, Justin, and I can't remember where this came from, but people's biggest fears. My biggest fear is to be sent to prison for 40 years for a murder I didn't commit. Because everyone in prison is innocent. It wasn't me, Gov. It wasn't me. And I'd be saying that and go, yeah, sure. And I reckon it would take about 12 years for me to accept I was going to be stuck in prison forever.
It's a great answer.
What's your biggest fear, Just?
My biggest fear is probably work-related, actually, and the fear of going back to a completely normal job. Well, I think I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
You say that, Justin, now that the Tories are in power, you know, that's kind of possible.
Yeah, but that's a big fear. I always think to myself, do I want to wake up in the morning and think, I don't want to get on that train, I'm going to hate every single second. That's a big fear of mine.
Ask it again, please.
Kelly's got a good one. Go on, Kelly, before we send Justin off, what's yours?
Have you got any scary music?
Yes, mate, I've got plenty of scary music. That's
Like the Halloween theme or something?
If only.
My biggest fear is porcelain dolls coming to life.
Terrifying, eh, Just?
Wow.
Speak to you in a bit.
Scary. Thank you.
Ta-ta.
Bye.
That is off the scale.
She ain't got no money, her clothes are kind of funny, her hair is kind of wild and free. Oh, boy, love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows like me. She talks kind of lazy, and people say she's crazy, and her life's a mystery. Oh, but love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows like me.
Boss it again, please.
It's people. Let's talk, it's people.
Kennedy.
I like the mushy peas.
I'm a lucky fella, and I just gotta tell her that I love her endlessly. Because love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows like me.
Oh, guys, what a great first hour. The hour of power down the rabbit hole. Loving it. Coming out the rabbit hole now, so shh. Let's not mention the requests or the body paint. We'll carry on the biggest fears. 08459 455 555. Lots of you as well seem to be quite angry with Ollie Martins for spending, what, £650,000 or thereabouts on a referendum asking whether you want to spend a bit more money on having more coppers. Andy's the only person I think I've ever spoken to who doesn't want more, apart from burglars, who doesn't want more coppers. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Oh, Kelly, we've got about 20 seconds to do some texts, if we've got any.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, there's a lane closed clockwise between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield because of fuel spillage after a lorry broke down carrying a crane earlier. It's being towed away, so there's just one lane closed at the moment, but it's also causing it to be slow anti-clockwise between junction 25 for Enfield and 24 for Potters Bar as people look over. In Bricketwood, on the North Orbital Road, that's busy at the M25 junction 21A roundabout, and it's also slow southbound on the A1M at junction 7 for Stevenage. On the trains, there seem to be delays between Peterborough and London King's Cross of around 25 minutes and some cancellations too. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much. Kelly, any texts that apply to the rabbit hole that we need to get out of our systems now?
Actually, no, because we're taking it over, so no.
Oh.
I'll tell you after 7.
All right, fine. In that case, stay tuned. That's called a teaser. Well, not the most exciting tease. Kelly's going to read a text, probably not going to get us that many more listeners via the Radar Diary system, but... Oh, yeah, tick your diaries now. Right, that's it, guys. We're out of the rabbit hole. Shh. This hour never happened, all right?
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Police Commissioner says Bedfordshire could be the weak link in the nation's security. Welwyn Hatfield MP loses Tory party chairman's job, and Amazon creating 500 new jobs in Dunstable.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. Ollie Martin says he doesn't regret his decision to hold a referendum, but is warning of the consequences of the no vote.
We are heading into uncharted territory with the possible loss of 135 more officers. That is 12% of our strength. That will mean that we're policing the county with well under 1,000 police officers. Bedfordshire may be a weak link in actually the whole country's security.
The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister. The first all-Conservative cabinet for 18 years meets in Downing Street this morning. The Prime Minister will say he plans to give priority to passing new laws, cutting the maximum a household can claim in benefits and doubling free childcare for 3 and 4-year-olds. North East Bedfordshire MP Alistair Burt is the new Health Minister. More ministers will be appointed today. The online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable which will create 500 permanent jobs. It's at Prologis Park in Boscombe Road and is due to open in the autumn. The company says recruitment will start immediately. Amazon already operates sites in in Hemel Hempstead and at Marston Gate in Bedfordshire by junction 13 of the M1. The newly re-elected MP for Bedford says doctors want to save the town's hospital by working in partnership with Addenbrooke's in Cambridge. In March, it was announced that health services in Bedfordshire are facing a record deficit of £40 million by the end of the year. Richard Fuller says an alliance with Addenbrooke's is the best solution.
I think that will provide the best way the Bedford Hospital can secure its long-term future, drawing on the clinical expertise of Addenbrooke's but delivering the care here locally in Bedford.
A mental health patient who stabbed a shop worker in the neck in Aylesbury has been found guilty of wounding with intent but cleared of attempted murder. Reading Crown Court heard 63-year-old David Clark attack the man at the shop in Buckingham Street last September, leaving him with life-changing injuries. Clark is due to be sentenced next month. More men aged 40 to 54 are being admitted to hospital with strokes. The charity The Stroke Association says the figure's gone up by more than half over the past 15 years. Dr Dale Webb is from the charity.
We think the main reason are changes in lifestyles. People having food with too much sugar and salt and fats, but also people moving around less and being less physically active than they need to be. These things are important because they increase our blood pressure, which we know is one of the key risk factors for having a stroke.
In sport, Kevin Peterson has been told he will not be recalled by England, despite scoring a career-best 326 not out for Surrey yesterday. The 34-year-old, sacked by England in February last year, met Andrew Strauss, England's new director of cricket, last night. The weather, a cloudy start with some outbreaks of rain this morning, brighter and sunnier this afternoon, a maximum temperature 18 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Thank you, Simon. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. What a silly job. It's a silly job, isn't it? I'm really tired, it's just hit me. Because I've been up since, I was going to say 5 to 4. I didn't get up until 16 minutes past 4 today. I was just lying in bed talking to the cat and thinking, I don't want to go up. Busy show, though. No police, some scoins, and way more Justin Dealey than anybody could handle. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
The people of Bedfordshire have said no to paying more council tax for more police officers. The county's Police and Crime Commissioner, Ollie Martins, said the additional money would pay for 100 extra officers. But over 69% of those who voted didn't like the idea and it was booted out. Andrew Selous is the Conservative MP for South West Bedfordshire. Joins us now. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
No, thanks very much for joining us. What did you make of the result?
Well, I think we obviously have to respect it, and it was a significant extra increase, and I understand people didn't want more money taken out of their pockets, and I think people were irritated that the money was already being taken before their permission had been asked in this referendum. Personally, I would very much like to have seen those 100 extra officers in Bedfordshire there.
The money being taken out, that was just kind of the way that the budgeting system worked. That wouldn't have affected the result necessarily, would it?
Well, I think it did, because the emails I was getting, people, A, they thought it was a very big increase. You know, B, they hadn't really been told about it beforehand and didn't really understand what it was for. And C, they were irritated that the money had already come out in April and I think May as well from their bank accounts in most cases before the referendum. I think if you're going to ask for a very big rise, you have to make the case and you have to make it in good time. And maybe if we'd had this referendum earlier, perhaps for the rise to come in a following year, maybe it would have come through. I mean, I think I only saw one leaflet explaining it on the community notice board in Wilkinson's in Dunstable. You know, there was very little publicity about why we needed it, what the money was going to go on, and also the wider issue of the fact that Bedfordshire Police is actually quite unfairly funded because of something called damping, which means that we don't get all the money that the national funding formula for the police says we should have, which is personally why I would have very much liked to have had those 100 extra officers.
Bedfordshire is particularly at risk of terrorist elements, isn't it? And it could be argued that's why it perhaps needs more money.
I just want to see Bedfordshire fairly funded. We have a national funding formula, and Bedfordshire does not get all the money that formula says.
That's not going to make up the deficit that Ollie Martins is talking about, though, is it? Yes, if the funding was fairer, then of course that would be better. That's not going to provide the police service that both he and the Chief Constable would like to provide.
Well, to get the full amount that the national funding formula says we should get would certainly help. It's also the case that Bedfordshire was awarded part of an £8 million extra amount of funding to be shared with Hertfordshire and Cambridgeshire for innovation. And with that, we can do things like give police officers more tablets. Why is that important? Well, the evidence is if you give a police officer a tablet, they actually spend an eighth more of their time on the beat because they don't keep having to go back to the station to sort of write up their notes and incidents and so on. I think that the other thing that's really important as well, and a message I've got very clearly from my constituents, we do need our police officers based back in all the towns of Bedfordshire. Again, it is simply not acceptable that towns like Leighton Buzzard, Dunstable, Houghton Regis, other towns throughout the middle of Bedfordshire do not have their own police officers based in those towns, as has been the case for over a century.
Well, a lot of the crime doesn't tend to happen in those places, and also how are they going to afford it, Andrew?
Well, I just simply don't think you can say that. I mean, I've been looking at pictures of Leighton Buzzard Police Station in 1897. And, there was a group of, I think, 12 or more police officers based in Leighton Buzzard's police station. It is simply unacceptable to withdraw our police, to be based in Bedford and Luton. And I've been very clear with the Chief Constable, this model that the previous chief brought in is not working. It's not fair. We all understand if there's a terrorist emergency, the police officers will go where they're needed, but we have to be fair to the whole of Bedfordshire. The current system is not.
Of course, the police sergeant in Leighton Buzzard says that town isn't a crime hotspot.
Well, look...
And you've still not said how would they pay to have all those police officers there?
Well, I would like to show you the emails and letters I get from my constituents in Leighton Buzzard, Dunstable, Houghton Regis, who have been burgled, who have had money extorted from their businesses, who are terrorised by mini-motos, which you and I have spoken about.
Yeah, of course.
And by the way, I'd like to say thank you to the police for the good work that they have done on that recently with Operation Meteor. I saw some of their new bikes. Well done to the police for rising to that challenge. But look, come on, crime happens everywhere. I live in a village in Bedfordshire. I got burgled last year. Of course, people in Dunstable, Houghton Regis, Leighton Buzzard, all the towns of Bedfordshire are burgled. They suffer serious crime like everyone else. They are entitled to have their police officers based in their communities, as happens pretty much everywhere throughout the United Kingdom. Of course, if there is a crisis in Bedford or Luton or anywhere else, we completely understand that's where the police will have to be. But every community is entitled to have its officers based in its own community.
The Chief Constable says she's trying to lobby for more money. Can you help with that?
Well, absolutely. I'm a Bedfordshire
Can you call
MP.
Theresa May and the Home Secretary and ask for extra funding?
Well, what I would like to do is get all the Bedfordshire MPs together to meet with the new police minister in the first instance to explain that we have a serious shortage. And I do keep coming back to this issue. It's what's called damping, which is a technical term, which means that Bedfordshire does not get the full amount that the national funding formula says that we should get. And what I'd like to do is get all Bedfordshire MPs together. We've done it before. We met, all 6 of us, irrespective of party, in the last Parliament to lobby the police minister. We need to do that again, and I will ask all Bedfordshire MPs to join me to try to achieve that now that we haven't got this referendum through.
Finally, Andrew, should Ollie Martins resign?
Well, he has been elected for a 4-year term. It's not so long. I can't remember the actual date, but, there will be another election for Police and Crime Commissioner, and I think it's up to the people of Bedfordshire to decide.
It could be argued he's wasted about £650,000. Is that not worthy of resignation?
Well, that was the figure I was told yesterday. I don't quite know how that works out, given that, there were elections anyway last Thursday. But, of course, it will cost something. I bitterly regret that that's money not going on police officers and on funding the police. So that's obviously an issue for Ollie Martins, and I think it comes back to actually making the case, making the argument, explaining what you're doing and why you're doing it, which is a very important part of what elected representatives should be doing.
Andrew, thank you very much indeed. Andrew Selous there is the Conservative MP for South West Bedfordshire. Always a pleasure to talk. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, no, hang on, I don't want Adam Ant. Oh, blimey, look, it's me trying to be all clever and fancy, and I'm playing Adam Ant.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There we go. You see, my brain cannot do more than two things at once. Well, it can, but it kind of all gets a little bit claggy and messes things up. 08459 455 555. Ollie Martins will be in now if there's something you want to say to him. I mean, 90,000 odd people did vote in favour of the point that he put forward. So obviously, a number agree with it, but just not enough. Kelly Betts, text.
Hello.
Kelly Betts, text.
Yes, it rhymes. We were talking
Nice
about.
text.
Thanks, grow them myself. We were talking about biggest fears.
Oh, yeah,
Why
yeah.
are we doing that again?
It don't matter. It don't matter, and I don't know, but it don't matter.
Mary says her biggest fear is the next 5 years with the Tory government.
Oh, politics! Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give it. There's a horrible... Right, I'm going to say a horrible story. It's horrible. It's a really horrible story. There's nothing light in it at all. Apart from... I heard it reported on another radio station, right, in the news bulletin, OK? Horrible story. I won't go into too much detail because we've got young ears listening, but the headline in the paper is chopped up body of girl in suitcase found in a canal. So it's disgusting, right? So this was on another radio station. The headline was police have found a body in a suitcase at the bottom of a canal. The police are treating it as suspicious. Well, what the flipping heck do you... I mean, why? Why do you... The police are treating it as suspicious. No, really? A chopped up body in a suitcase at the bottom of a canal? That's not a suicide? Although there was that fellow, wasn't there? There was that spy in a suitcase, in his drowned in a suitcase in his bath. And I think the verdict was suicide.
They did tests on how someone would get in the suitcase and do it up.
Yeah. They actually had a man trying to get into a suitcase and doing it up. He went, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, if you're going to end it, I wouldn't do it that way. They've got to be. Well, I mean, let's not go down. Let's not go down that route. But there are better ways, of course, to. Madame Tussauds is in the newspapers again, not for being rubbish, which is odd because, guys, it's rubbish. Waxworks are rubbish. Waxworks were invented in, I'm going to say, the 1780s, when we didn't have iPads. So you couldn't just, Google... I think you only had, telly and, really slow computers. You couldn't just Google what someone looked like. So they'd have, a waxwork, so you could see what the king looked like and what the Queen of France... Madame Tussauds, so it's French. What the Queen of France looked like and you know, what these people would look like. That's what they were invented for. So why in 2015, when we've got fibre optic broadband and we've got Bing and Google and Ask Jeeves, all of these things, why do they still have Madame Tussauds and waxworks? They're rubbish.
You can't touch them, can you, either?
I've got an idea of how they can make it better.
Yeah, go on.
Robots. So they're celebrities, but they move.
No.
And they say their quote lines.
They did that. There was what was they used to have in it was near Madame Tussauds. It was like Rock Circus. Rock Circus was like the rock version of Madame Tussauds, and we went there. We went there on a school trip.
Wow.
And there's a bit where you sit in a thing and you go around, and then the Beatles come out. It's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts.
Yeah, see, that's good.
It wasn't, though.
Oh.
Yeah, because that would spoil the illusion, because you would think they're robots.
Yeah, it's not Madame Tussauds Robotorium. It's Madame Tussauds Waxawarium. That's what it is. Anyway, I'll get to why that's in the papers in a minute.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 clockwise, there's a lane closed between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield because of a fuel spillage. It's after a lorry broke down carrying a crane earlier, so the whole road was closed. It is all open again apart from that one lane, but it's looking slow anti-clockwise too through that stretch because the people are looking over at what's going on. On the M1 southbound, it's slow from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 9 for Redbourne, and in Markgate on the A5 southbound, it's slow from Lynchhill towards the M1 junction 9 for Redbourne. On the trains, the 740 train from Luton to Sevenoaks is delayed. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, I think I said Waxawarium. I'll listen back, but I'm pretty sure I said Waxawarium. So good for me. 7:16. It is Tuesday, the 12th of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. The Welwyn-Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle, and the online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable, which is set to create 500 jobs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, the playoffs are underway for Stevenage and Wickham, and both teams will be looking forward to the second legs.
Quick free kick taken into Charles Stephen Craig. Goal! Wickham Wanderers again from another free kick.
On Thursday night, we'll bring you both games right here to see whether Borough or the Chairboys can make it to Wembley.
Parrott looks up. The shot comes in! Steve Parrott! Top left-hand corner from the Stevenage midfielder.
The League Two playoff semi-final. Thursday night from 7 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Call 08459 455 555.
So, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Madame Madame Tussauds is in the papers because they've got a Star Wars exhibition. Well, I mean... right. OK, so they've got Han Solo, that's a person. They've got Princess Leia, that's a little person. And they've got the other fella, Luke Skywalker, right? But then they've also got Yoda, which isn't a person, so it's just a dummy anyway. They've also got Darth Vader. Well, you can't see what... Darth Vader's just a cape and a helmet. Darth Vader is just a massive black helmet. That's all he is. He's a big, shiny helmet. Well, I could do that. That's not a waxwork. Right, we're going to do the Darth Vader now. I've got no wax left. Don't worry. Just get us a helmet and we'll buff it up. That's it. That's cheating, isn't it? Just getting a massive helmet. Paying people to look at a helmet.
It's for pictures, though, isn't it? People want pictures of that.
People, you know who wants pictures of that? French tourists. They're the only people that go to... Right. We'll spend the rest of the show trying to find an English person that's been to Madame Tussauds.
I've been...
No, in the last 5 years. 08459 455 555. You won't, because the English people don't go. It's for French tourists and Germans. That's all it's for. Only a Frenchman would pay to see a shiny black helmet. That's all it is. And you can't even touch the helmet. You cannot touch Darth Vader's helmet.
How much is it to get in now?
It's got to be like, I'm going to pick a number out of the air. 20 quid? Sure, what? Yes.
It's a lot of money for a helmet.
Matt, have a Google. Find out how much it is to go and see Darth Vader's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the show.
We've got a quick text about Madame Tussauds.
Please, mate, let's have it.
Helen in MK.
Good morning, Helen.
The original waxworks were the impressions taken from after the King and Queen of France had been executed when Madame Tussauds took the impressions of death masks, which were very popular.
That's what I said. It's exactly what I said, mate.
Well, there you go. It reinforces what you said.
It's exactly what I said, Helen. I don't know what your beef is, mate. 08459 455 555. A mother and daughter from Watford have pleaded guilty to fraudulently claiming over £200,000 in benefits. Crikey. 70-year-old Bushra Begum and her daughter Tabassum had 100 different accounts in a variety of names. Well, the multiple fraud was uncovered by Watford Borough Council. Well, Steve Koncevich is a lawyer specialising in social media law. Morning, Steve.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. When I signed on many, many years ago, I signed on and got housing benefit. I had to jump through hoops to get my job seekers allowance and get my housing benefit. How does fraud like this work?
Well, it's interesting that you use the term jumping through hoops, and you can argue that in this particular case they jumped through an awful lot of hoops because it was a very sophisticated operation involving, I think, 79 different bank accounts and hundreds of thousands of pounds going missing in the first place. We're in a Tory government again. Austerity is very much back on the agenda, and there's an awful lot of people talking about what benefit fraud may mean or may not mean to the UK economy. And it's fair to say that councils and the DWP take this kind of thing extremely seriously. A couple of years ago, there was a move among prosecutors to say that, well, there's two different kinds of benefit fraud. There's one, the Fraud Act, and there's another under the Social Security Administration Act. What they're looking to do now is, if there's an obvious long jail term in the offing, then they will go under the Fraud Act, which can be an easier offence to prove. But what they look for are things like where this has taken a lot of planning, where it's sophisticated, where it's happened over a long period of time, where it looks as if this is fairly sophisticated, and it's fair to say that this was extremely sophisticated. There's a couple of people doing it. There's been an awful lot of planning gone into it, and that's why they do take it so seriously.
And how does it work, Steve? Do you just turn up with... I mean, I don't want to give people ideas, but do you just go to different job centres with different councils with kind of fake bills, with fake addresses on? Can't be that simple, can it?
Well, sometimes it can be. That's what an awful lot of people have done. But some of the offences that we've seen actually involve people hacking into the DWP's computer system.
Oh, blimey!
Get information directly from them to get benefit paid to them that way. And as I say, the government looks at things like whether or not there's been an overpayment of benefits and the factor those into the figures. But they also look at the value of benefit fraud as well, which is estimated last year to be around 1.2 billion to the UK economy. Now, that's only 0.7 of the general welfare expenditure, but it's still a lot of money, and it's still money that the government will look to claw back.
You specialise in social media law. How can social media, how has social media helped catch people like this?
All the time. There's been a number of different cases. In fact, the last time I was on with you, we were talking about a case like this. In November last year, there was a case involving Central Bedfordshire Council and lady named Jenna Priest, who applied for benefits, said she was a single unemployed parent. It turned out she was actually dating her landlord, and she ended up with an £1,100 fine and repaid benefits up to £6,000. And then I think it was around August last year, a case between Liverpool Council and some guys called Paston and Thaley, where there were two people jailed. They were found to be on a £5,000 Caribbean cruise in 2011 from what was on Facebook. They ended up with 12 months in jail. They had total £115,000 in benefit. What social media does a lot of the time is arguably makes us a little bit of a narcissist. It creates a digital footprint around you, so you can't say one thing to the benefit guy and then say something else on Facebook. And increasingly, it's being used as a source of evidence to go after people.
So it's people, who are signing on, but then they're tweeting pictures of themselves on lovely cruises. Or quite often you see in the papers, don't you, people who are in wheelchairs refereeing football matches on Facebook.
You do very often. It's, as I say, it's an increasingly sophisticated tool to gather evidence on people. Data protection is an issue, but there are lots of exceptions around prosecuting people, around dealing with potentially criminal conduct. So people do need to be extremely careful. And, it's just another example of the cliche that what you do online can get you in trouble offline very easily.
Steve, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Steve Koncevich, a lawyer specialising in social media law. This is the thing. If you're going on holiday, never put on Twitter you're going on holiday, because, people will come around and burglarise you. Part of me does think, as we've got Tory government, these are the minority, by the way. These cases are the minority. Is it a little part of this to demonise people on benefits? That's happened. You kind of... it's funny, every time a new government comes in, whether it be Labour, Tory, coalition, you kind of... Sometimes the news agenda just shifts ever so slightly, and you've got to wonder, well, is this this obviously happened, and these are dodgepots, but is it to demonise those claiming benefits? 08459 455 555 is the phone number.
Do you know what I want to hear?
Yeah, go on, mate.
Matt Lockwood speak to Dennis.
Oh, flipping it. Yeah, go on, Matt, say hello to... Matt, put your headphones on, say hello to Dennis.
Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Matt.
How are you?
I'm absolutely smashing. Just rolled out of bed. Tell that poor old bloke next to you that it won't be long before I'm 90. Get his 10 quid ready.
Me?
Who are you talking about?
Ian.
Why are you echoing?
Well, I don't know.
Got to sort your... Right, Matt's conversation is aborted. He's echoing... Matt, you've got to sort your headphones out. You got the Larson effect. They're feedbacking. Look, it's you. Go close to there again.
It's not me.
It was... Go on then, talk then. Go right. All other...
Dennis, what do you want to say this morning?
I said, Madame Tussauds.
Right.
I know, it's all very old-fashioned now, but it would be a good idea at Christmas time to buy a wax head of someone you don't like, stick a wick in the top, put it on the table and light it and watch it fade away. That's one way of getting rid of people.
If only we could do that to you, Dennis, huh? That would be an option.
The point is, I've got bald head, there's no hair.
How long until your birthday?
29th of May.
You ain't going to make it, buddy.
I am.
I want that £5 sent to me before, because when you die, the Win will go, oh, no, he didn't mention anything about £5.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
You bet.
No, you.
Yes.
You bet nothing I wouldn't make it.
Whoa.
You bet.
No, well, Dennis is a little chancer. How much was it to get into Madame Tussauds? Did we work it out in the end?
About £30.
Flipping heck!
Do it online for £22.
Oh,
in
bargain.
advance, or you can do a VIP for £65.
Well, what do you get for
if
for £65? I want to have it away with Darth Vader. I want to be able to touch Princess Leia. Where where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
Well, I think you should.
Hang on, I'm doing a joke. I want to touch Princess Leia where the sun don't shine. I don't know Star Wars that well, so this reference isn't particularly good. But the Death Star. I want to touch Chewbacca. Where? Wookiee Hole. That's a place in the southwest. There's some caves. Matt.
I'm speechless.
Thank you very much indeed. Just can we find anybody who's been to Madame Tussauds? Not only been, but enjoyed it. Because it really is a very... I think a lot... Is the planetarium still going? Is that still a thing? I think the planetarium is still a thing, and do you know what that is? Rubbish. It's rubbish. Basically, you sit there and you look at some stars. Well, guess what, guys? You can do it for free outside at night. It's called space. Why would you go to those places when you've got excellent places like the Science Museum and the Natural History Museum and the V&A Museum for free? They're free. They're absolutely free. Honestly, guys, don't pay to go and... What's the one? I think it's closed down. Wasn't there one in Brighton called Winky Tussauds? Wasn't there?
What?
There was
What's
one called.
in there?
There was one called Winky Tussauds or something like that. Louis Tussauds. Louis Winky or something. And they were like famously... It pops up like every 6 months in the papers on a slow news day. They are famously the worst waxworks of all time. They look like Matt Lockwood, but then there'll be a plaque underneath it that says Al Pacino. It's that kind of thing. Those slightly melted faces. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 clockwise, there are delays between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield because of a fuel spillage. There's a lane closed after a lorry broke down carrying a crane, and it's busy anti-clockwise because people are slowing down to look. On the A1M southbound, it's heavy past junction 7 for the A602 at Stevenage, and the A1 southbound is slow from the St Neots junction towards the Black Cat roundabout. It's getting busy in Beaconsfield now too. The Amersham Road has queues between Longbottom Lane and the A40 London Road. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. South West Bedfordshire MP Andrew Selous told this programme the county's MPs must lobby the government over the way the force is funded. The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister. Downing Street is rejecting claims he's been demoted. And the online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable which will create 500 permanent jobs.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kevin Peterson has been told he will not be recalled by England despite scoring a career-best 326 not out for Surrey yesterday. The 34-year-old, sacked by England in February last year, met Andrew Strauss, England's new director of cricket, last night. Strauss faces the media today. More from Jonathan Agnew.
While no cricketer is actually barred from playing for England, it seems that Peterson was told that his situation hadn't changed and that his selection for England remains the longest of long shots. Coming on the day in which he followed Colin Graves' words to the letter and scored 326 not out, one can only imagine Peterson's disappointment and that of his supporters. But although the precise reasons for the original split last year remain somewhat vague, form and ability were not the issue. Peterson has IPL and Caribbean Premier League commitments this summer, while England feel that to choose him now would be a backward step. Whatever Strauss reveals today, there can be no further ambiguity.
In last night's Premier League game, Arsenal lost 1-0 at home to Swansea. Swindon are through to face Preston in the League One playoff final after a 10-goal thriller against Sheffield United. It finished 5-5 to send Swindon through 7-6 on aggregate. And the Wycombe striker Paul Hayes has told Three Counties Sport he will be fit for Thursday's playoff semi-final second leg against Plymouth. Hayes was injured in the first leg after scoring the opening goal, but says he'll be fine.
No, it's just a precaution. You know, it looked nasty, but, you know, you take some knocks and stuff in a game sort of thing. But, no, it was just obviously just a, you know, precaution, obviously, people have to do sort of thing. I'm fine.
BBC Three Counties News and Sports. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road is where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road that never seems to end. When new adventure lies just around the bend. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. There's a world that's waiting to unfold. A brand new tale no one has ever told. We've journeyed far, but I know it won't be long. We're almost there and we've paid our fare with a hobo song. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll find what I call home. Until tomorrow, you know I'm free to roll.
Morning, guys. Ian Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Well, a mixed bag this morning. We're asking what's your biggest fear. Mine's going to prison for a murder what I didn't commit. And, well, I think that's pretty much it at the moment. 08459 455 555. Oh, yeah, have you ever been to Madame Tussauds, Just?
Yeah, I have, and you know what? I heard your comments earlier on.
Yeah.
Made me angry.
Sorry, buddy?
Yeah,
What?
made me very angry. Madame Tussauds is a great place to go with the family.
For 30 quid a pop, right, you take 4 members of your family, that's 36. That's over £100.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everything...
To go and see some candles?
Hang on. Everything in this country right now is about selfie opportunities. To a lot of people, when are they going to meet those people? Never.
Well, they're not going to meet them at Madame Tussauds either.
No,
they're not even going to meet models that look like those people.
But for a lot of people, that they'll get to have a day out with their family and get lots of photographs. It's a good day out.
Why would I want to stand next to a plastic Adele?
To admire the talent which has gone into that, not only to appreciate her, but also to appreciate the talent that artist has gone through to make that waxwork.
Barbara's on the line. Morning, Barbara.
Good morning.
Barbara, what would you like to say? Put Justin straight. Go on.
No.
Well, we went to Madame Tussauds about 4 years ago because my partner had never been.
Yeah.
I went as a child and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Is your partner like a 13-year-old boy or something?
No.
He was a grown man. Wow,
he
he
was
wanted...
a grown man, but he'd never been.
Right, okay.
So we said we would go. We went on a normal weekday, term time, thought it would be quiet. The place was absolutely rammed. You couldn't move. It was claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It was full of European students.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just awful. The planetarium, which was the only bit that I would have been interested in years ago, had completely gone.
Is the planetarium gone?
The planetarium's been gone years. Yeah. It made way for more waxwork. We couldn't even get close to the waxwork to have photographs taken with the ones that were our favourite, and we just thoroughly disgusted with it. Really wanted to ask for our money back, but just didn't have the guts to do it, really.
No, Barbara! Always go and make a formal complaint to these places. Always.
Well, I wish I had now, but, how can you say the place is full of foreign students? They've got as much right to be there as we have.
No, they're our waxworks, Barbara. That's our British wax. Did your okay, the French, and by the way, French students are so rude, aren't they?
Yes,
I'm not being...
Absolutely. Just pushing
terrible.
in, you just couldn't get anything. We did go through a part of Madame Tussauds that was quite scary, which was quite good fun, because my partner's quite a tall guy, and and the statues and things that were jumping out of the dark made these students scream, and they were hiding behind him. It was quite funny.
Do you know what? For the rest of the show, we're going to try and find the politest students. I'm going to put forward the Japanese. In a the crowds and the rude French to one side? What did your partner think of the actual waxworks? They're rubbish, aren't they?
I think, to be honest, he was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
It wasn't what he thought it would be.
Oh, bless him. How tall is your fella?
He's just over 6 foot.
Okay. Have you seen this thing in the Daily Mail today, page 49?
No.
And you give me as much information or as little as you want, Barbara. It says here, and I'm tall, I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
Being tall can harm your sex life.
Can I just spit that one?
Okay, we'll let you, Barbara, thank you very much indeed. Just luckily her
broke up at the right
signal
time
was
there.
breaking up there. It says here, being tall can harm your sex life. Being tall...
How?
Well, I'll tell you.
Come on.
Let me see. Being tall may come with practical problems, such as lack of legroom on aeroplanes. Oh, man. But there are some perks. Where does it say the thing about... dementia risk is higher for short people. Sorry, Kelly. Being tall protects your heart. Cancer is more common in tall people. Tall women are more likely to have... Here we go, twins. Last year, an analysis of 5,000 families found that men who were 5'7" or shorter were 32% less likely to divorce. Well, you try telling that to John Burko. The researchers said this finding was likely due to the fact that short men married less and later. Oh, where's the thing about sex? There we go. Shorter men have more sex. You try telling that to John Burko. Men under 5'7" reported the highest sexual frequency. Well, I mean, I'm
great research, guys.
I'm tempted to get you to send that to the street, but we won't. You've taken fears to the street. Just what are people out there scared of?
Yeah, do you know what? With something like this, a lot of people that they don't want to open up. It's almost like they don't want their fears to be on the radio.
No, of course.
I've tried to encourage.
Well, they might come true. That's the thing.
Absolutely, especially with the curse on this programme.
Yeah.
Well, which we won't go into right now.
Well, it's not working on Dennis, but I keep trying.
So I've been on the streets this morning asking, what's your biggest fear in life? Here's what the streets had to say.
My biggest fear in life? Not earning enough money to provide for my family.
Anything else? Come on, what are you scared of? What are you really scared of?
What am I really scared of? What am I really scared of?
Let's get underneath that surface.
Being by myself. Being alone. Dying alone.
Martin, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to let go, all right? What's your biggest fear in life?
I'll probably say sharks.
Being eaten alive?
Yes.
By a shark?
Yes. Because I've seen so many of those Jaws films.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking every time I see that, I think to myself, I wouldn't go in the water just in case there's a shark down there.
So even when you've been to Blackpool, Southend, places like that, you refuse to get into the water just in case there might be a shark there by a miracle, really?
Absolutely.
You've really opened up.
I have, yes.
Well, spiders, obviously.
Yeah.
But I have quite a fear of prog rock music.
Whoa, we're going to fall out here. Why?
It's just bad.
So as soon as you hear it, what you get angry, you start to get violent?
I just get really annoyed and it just gives me a headache, and my husband loves it, and I refuse to go to any gigs with him.
Well, it's a miracle that you're still married.
Yeah, 20 years this year.
Fantastic. Opposites attract. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Madam, what's your biggest fear in life?
Talking to you.
Boom. Pwned.
I thought we had a connection.
Pwned, mate.
Thank you.
Pwned. Absolutely. So, well, tomorrow we're going to play Close to the Edge by Yes. All 13 glorious minutes of it just for that woman.
Yes.
How dare she?
I know. Disgusting.
How dare she?
Here, boss, to go back to Madame Two Swords.
Yes, mate.
I've got a question that I would love the answer to.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, exactly. Who's in the basement?
Sorry?
Which waxworks are in the basement? Not fit for purpose anymore. Put in the basement.
Is there an actual answer to this, or you just want to know?
No. I think there must be an answer. Surely.
No. They melt them down. Well, yeah. Kelly's just whispered in my ear. Savile and Rolf Harris. Yeah, probably. They melt them down, and then they make new people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because famously, the Jason Donovan, I believe, had one. And there was like an uproar from him when his got melted down to make, I don't know, whoever was the new kid on the block.
But why would you waste that, though? Because surely if you're Madame Two Swords, you can make a fortune from some mad Jason Donovan fan who may pay, I don't know, £10,000 for something like that.
Mate, there's only so much wax in the world. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey, just, guess what?
Go
on. First of all, the Monkees are playing September the 4th at the Hammersmith Odeon.
I got an email about that.
I've got permission to take my 5-year-old son with me.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. My 5-year-old boy is going to come to a Monkees concert, and the Monkees are going to be on this show at some point soon. Woo. And then I got an email. You know, I sent off a cheeky email to a PR company about 3 months ago. Thought nothing of it. I got an email yesterday saying, yeah, we can get you 2 tickets for Paul McCartney at the O2.
Okay, this is all fantastic. As you know, I'm a big Paul McCartney fan, and I present a music programme on the BBC, and I work with you very closely.
Totally, Justin, totally. On the Monday morning, I will tell you what the concert was like.
Cheeky.
Justin, can you take Madame Two Swords to the streets? Because I genuinely think you're in a minority here.
No, I don't think so.
Hang on a minute. Peter?
Good morning.
What would you like to have a whinge about today?
I just reckon we should very many areas should have a waxwork of a policeman, because then it would enable our children to identify what a policeman looks like.
Can I put you right there?
All right, Rory Bremner.
Somewhere, and I've forgotten the location, somewhere over in Bucks, they have actually got a waxwork of a copper, and he stands on the corner of the road. He has a speed camera.
It's in a fella's garden, isn't it?
He rolls it out, though, so it's on... He lives right at the top of the road, so people drive down that road. It's 30 miles an hour. They're driving down at 50, 60 miles an hour. They see the copper, they think it's real, and people slow down.
Well, of course.
So they do have them.
Well, of course, so they should be doing it more often to let the kids know what a policeman looks like, really.
Like what looks like?
What a policeman looks like.
A policeman? That's not what you just said.
Oh, yes, I did. I said exactly that.
Listen just rewind on iPlayer. I think he said something a bit rude.
Oh, no. I would never do that on your programme.
No. Peter, have you ever been to Madame Two Swords?
Yes, indeed.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
No, I thought that was brilliantly...
Yeah, but you went in like the 1800s when it just opened.
Well, that's a possibility.
Peter, you're a good sport. I'll speak to you later, mate.
Thank you, boss.
Cheers, fella.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, the entry slip road at junction 12 for Flitwick has been partially blocked by a lorry that's broken down, and the M25 clockwise has a lane closed between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield. It's because of a fuel spillage after the crane broke down earlier, and it's also affecting the opposite direction. It's slow through that stretch anti-clockwise. On the A10 southbound, it's heavy from the New River Trading Estate southbound towards the M25, junction 25 for Enfield, and in High Wycombe on the A40 London Road, that's looking busy in both directions. It's also looking slow on the A404 Marlow Hill in both directions as well. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
You've been to hang on a second, let me try that. You ever been to Madame Tussauds?
No, never. It doesn't really appeal.
No, it's rubbish, isn't it? Just waxwork. Let's go and look at photographs of people, for crying out loud. 7:46. It's Tuesday, the 12th of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. The Welwyn-Hatfield MP, Grant Shapps, has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister, and the online company Amazon, who is opening a new centre in Dunstable, which is set to create 500 jobs. Here's the weather with Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a rather grey start to the day. We've got some patchy rain just starting to work its way in towards parts of Buckinghamshire and Bedfordshire now. Some heavier bursts in there, but it is mainly just light and patchy. It's moving south and eastwards, and it's not the story for the rest of the day. Once it clears south and eastwards, we're going to get some nice sunshine behind it. So this afternoon's not looking too bad at all. A bit more of a breeze today. Could still see 1 or 2 showers later blown through on that breeze, but in the sunshine, we're still looking at 18 Celsius as a maximum temperature. Overnight tonight, it's going to be dry and clear, so the temperature could drop down to the low single figures. It's possible in the countryside we could get a sparkle of ground frost. Most places staying above around 5 or 6. Chilly start tomorrow morning. Fine, dry, plenty of sunshine. A little bit cooler as we pick up a northeasterly. It's not very strong, but it just means that the temperature feels a little cooler. The maximum temperature for Wednesday, 16 Celsius, 61 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
Sometimes in life, things don't always go to plan.
It worked perfectly for 2.5, 3 years till 2 days ago.
He should refund me £1,900.
Which is where we come in.
We managed to get them to agree to come back in to the property on an agreed date.
The JVS show takes on your consumer problems.
I've basically lost the whole lot in administration charges.
And helps to get to the right solution.
I've received a cheque back for £578.
Jonathan, I can't thank you enough. I don't know how you do what you do, you and your team.
The JVS show, weekdays from 9, here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Call 08459 455 555.
Oh yeah. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh yes. The newly re-elected MP for Bedford says he is committed to ensuring a future for the town's hospital by working in partnership with Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. In March, it was announced that health services in Bedfordshire are facing a record deficit of £40 million by the end of the year. A health review into the future of both Bedford and Milton Keynes' hospital is still ongoing. Well, Richard Fuller spoke to our reporter, Tony Fisher.
I've been working for the last 14 months with the leadership of Bedford Hospital and with our local doctors behind their plan to create an alliance with Addenbrooke's Hospital. Now they've got an MP who is committed to that, who's strong enough to argue with the national bureaucracies about that, and I want to make sure that in my next term we complete that alliance.
So an alliance with Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge?
That's right. I think that will provide the best way that Bedford Hospital can secure its long-term future, drawing on the clinical expertise of Addenbrooke's, but delivering the care here locally in Bedford.
And so where does that leave Milton Keynes? Well,
Milton Keynes will have to find its own path forward. I think we've looked a number of times at ways in which we can put the two hospitals together. None of those solutions have been adequate, either financially or from the point of view of what the population wants. And doctors here have come to the conclusion, and I agree with them, that an alliance with Addenbrooke's is the right combination for Bedford. It's my job now to support them and make sure that the Department of Health and the Secretary of State for Health hears that message and enables us to make that alliance happen.
Okay. And hopefully, do you think patients, people in Bedford, will be happy with that, allying with another hospital outside of the county?
I think so, because I think most people, when they look at the health service, they want politicians to be sort of out of it, supporting, but they want the decisions and the directions being set by those in charge of their healthcare, and that's our local doctors at the hospital and our local GPs. And they have a very strong view that this alliance with Addenbrooke's is the best path forward for Bedford Hospital. It will secure the long-term future of the hospital and deliver quality care here in Bedford. So I'm committed to giving my support to them.
Timescale? Too hard to say, really.
I think so, but we need to keep cracking on it.
Listening to that, the newly re-elected Mayor of Bedford, Dave Hodgson. Morning, Dave.
Good morning.
We've spoken about the future of Bedford Hospital for so many times. Yeah, what's your view on this, on the latest development?
Well, it's an ongoing development. I mean, the hospital have been talking to Addenbrooke's and others. My key concern is that the health review, the CCG-led health review, still stands there, and it still says it wants to have a merger. One of the hospitals, Milton Keynes or Bedford, will be reduced and have much reduced A&E, maternity and paediatrics, and that's not acceptable. So that needs to be removed from the whole scene. I think the way forward to work with other hospitals, and not exclusively Addenbrooke's, but obviously there's big links there. The other key thing is that we must have the services delivered in Bedford. We can work with Addenbrooke's, but we don't want to have maternity and the births in Addenbrooke's or A&E or paediatrics there. Obviously, some cases will be there, and I know there's been joint appointments, which is really good.
You mentioned the CCG-led health review. It's not finished, and the report won't be out until the summer, will it?
Which is about a year later, isn't it, Ian? I think, something like that. Yeah. And about $3 million over budget or something. Yeah, absolutely. And excuse me. I mean, I think that we just need to stop that review. That review is just actually causing distress and comfort to the patients and the staff in Bedford Hospital. And we need to make sure that the services that we're talking about are delivered in Bedford. And I think the way that the hospital is moving is a good thing. And I'm glad the CCG are working with them now. But we do need to can this review because it's just causing uncertainty.
I thought that the whole thing was talking about Bedford Hospital and Milton Keynes, and that seems to have been merging with Milton Keynes Hospital. That seems to be parked now, doesn't it?
Well, apart from in this review, which continues it, that's my concern. I mean, we spent an awful lot of money, and my understanding is that Monitor, who oversee Milton Keynes Hospital, wants to continue it. The TDA, which oversees Bedford Hospital, doesn't want to. I'm not sure whether that's correct. That might just be some sort of gossip in the ether. But we need to get everybody to say, look, for Bedford Hospital's sake, and for the residents of Bedford and the staff there, let's get on and have this positive dialogue that's going on at the moment.
Dave, while I've got you on, it would be remiss of me not to ask your thoughts on the referendum that Ollie Martins carried out to get more funding for people to pay slightly more in their council tax for more police officers. What do you think about what happened and the result?
I think when we saw the ballot papers coming out on Thursday night, it was very clear it was lost. I think when you looked at Mr Martins' poll he did himself, that was clear. I think it was under 20% said yes. So I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit concerned because in the councils, the three councils now have to rebill, and that's going to cost, I believe, about £600,000 to send bills out again. So that's going to be very, very costly to public purse, and we're now going to be worse off, or he is going to be, than he would have been to start with.
Should Ollie Martins stand down?
That's for Mr Martins to decide.
Dave, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. Mayor of Bedford, Dave Hodgson.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, the reason that you're fat, and I hate to tell you this, but you're fat, do you know what the reason is? It's not food. It's not lack of exercise. It's lights in the bedroom. What? Flippin' it. Light in the bedroom at night makes you fat. No, it doesn't. Pies and not walking does. That's what makes you fat. Switch off gadgets advice. No. I can't switch off my gadgets. I literally can't switch off my gadgets. The off button on my phone doesn't work. This phone has not been switched off. It's not been switched off for about a year. Occasionally the battery runs dry. And it goes then. But it's not been switched off for a year.
How do you switch it back on again if you can't switch it off?
Well, you don't switch it off.
You said the battery runs out.
Yeah.
Then how do you switch it on?
I said the battery runs dry. You plug it in.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't turn on.
It does.
Okay.
Every time it turns on.
All right.
I miss being able to turn my phone off. Anyway, people who take comfort in the glow of a telly, mobile phone or lamp while in bed are in for some bad news. It could be making you fat. It's not. It's not making. It's
Are
not.
they eating it?
They're doing something with it. In a study of well, no, hang on. They've done it on mice. The study, that is. In a study of mice fed identical diets, the rodents exposed to the most artificial light gained weight. Researcher Sander Kujiman said the increasing prevalence of obesity is associated with a disrupted sleep-wake pattern in humans and coincides with the availability of artificial light. The suggested causal relationship has clear implications for the prevention of obesity. This is rubbish! Or maybe it's science, and I don't know. Let's ask, are you slim? Do you have lights? Are you fat? Do you have lights? 08459 455 555.
Well, I'm slim and I have lights, and you're...
Another study, researchers, I don't know if the same study or not, I don't care, reckons artificial lights disrupt our body clocks and the brown fat cells that burn calories. It's recommended that all lights and gadgets be switched off at bedtime. And then it goes into another story that's irrelevant. I can't. Listen, guys, if you're fat, you eat too much and you don't exercise enough. And now, there may be underlying reasons why you're doing that. It could be an addiction. It could be a mental health issue. It could be it could be anything. But the basic element is you eat too much and you don't exercise enough. Isn't it? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number, and we've yet to find anybody, apart from the, I don't want to call him a blinkered fool, but that's what he is, Justin Dealey. Can't find anybody that actually rates Madame Tussauds as why? I mean, of all the places, also it's in a really weird place in London. It's just off Marylebone Street. Okay, it's near Baker Street. Well, there's nothing. It's miles away from anywhere. It's not near anything. It's a 15-minute walk to Oxford Street. It's just kind of near nothing. Miles away from the good bit of Regent Street. It's on this major road, and you're paying what is it, 30 quid to go in and be hassled by French students. That's what we can do for the last hour. Can we find the best behaved students around the world? It ain't it's not European students. Okay, they're horrible. These horrible 13-year-old French boys with their moustaches. Oh, jeez. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me want to puke. The Germans, students, the politest students I've ever met in the world. Japanese students. Yeah. Oh, God. When I went to Japan, and we went to some, I don't know, like castle or something, I don't know. And we had loads of, Japanese kids come up to us. They're about 11 years old, and they came up and they presented me and my wife with this little bit of paper, right? And on it said, "Hello, we are Japanese. We are 11 years old. We are learning English. May we practice on you?" I mean, why they hadn't learned that phrase? I mean, it shows the system is failing. And we would go, "Yes." And they would take the paper and they go, What is your name, please?" "My name is Iain." "What is your name?" "Huh?" They hadn't learned the responses. "My name is Iain." "Where are you from?" "London." "Where are you from?" "Huh?" But they were so polite, and then at the end, I seem to remember they gave us a little origami thing at the end to say thank you.
It's like a conversation with Lockwood, but you don't get the gift.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, the entry slip road is closed at junction 12 for Harlington at Flitwick. That's because it's been partially blocked by a lorry that's broken down. On the M25 clockwise, there's a lane closed between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield because a train transporter broke down earlier on and there's been a fuel spillage too, so it's causing delays back to junction 22 for St Albans. On the M25 anti-clockwise, it's also looking really busy between junction 20 for the A41 at Kings Langley and 16 for the M40. In Hemel Hempstead, the A41 slow southbound from the Hemel Hempstead turn-off to the M25. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you. So, the best behaved foreign students, if you will, and Madame Tussauds. Really? 08459 455 555.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines. Police Commissioner warns Bedfordshire could be the weak link in the nation's security. Welwyn Hatfield MP loses job as Tory party chairman, and Amazon creating 500 new jobs in Dunstable.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the Republic rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. South West Bedfordshire MP Andrew Selous says the county's MPs must lobby the government over the way the force is funded.
What I'd like to do is get all Bedfordshire MPs together. We've done it before. We met, all 6 of us, irrespective of party, in the last Parliament to lobby the police minister. We need to do that again, and I will ask all Bedfordshire MPs to join me to try to achieve that now that we haven't got this referendum through.
And Police Commissioner Ollie Martins will be speaking with Iain after this bulletin. The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister, but Downing Street are denying it's a demotion. There's also speculation that Aylesbury MP David Liddington is likely to lose his position as Europe Minister. Our political reporter Paul Scoynes has more.
Mr Shapps has been made a minister at the Department for International Development. Downing Street sources have told the BBC that he's keen to get international experience. That's something Aylesbury MP David Liddington might be getting less of. Some Eurosceptic Conservatives don't think he's robust enough and that someone else is needed in the position of Europe Minister. An announcement is expected later.
The online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable which will create 500 permanent jobs. It's at Prologis Park in Boscombe Road and is due to open in the autumn. The company says recruitment will start immediately. Amazon already operates sites in Hemel Hempstead and at Marston Gate in Bedfordshire by junction 13 of the M1. A mental health patient who stabbed a shop worker in the neck in Aylesbury has been found guilty of wounding with intent but cleared of attempted murder. Reading Crown Court heard 63-year-old David Clark attack the man at the shop in Buckingham Street last September, leaving him with life-changing injuries. Clark is due to be sentenced next month. The newly re-elected Conservative MP for Bedford, Richard Fuller, says doctors want to save the town's hospital by working in partnership with Addenbrooke's in Cambridge. In March, it was announced that health services in Bedfordshire are facing a record deficit of £40 million by the end of the year. Lib Dem Mayor Dave Hodgson says certain services must stay in the town.
We must have the services delivered in Bedford. We can work with Addenbrooke's, but we don't want to have maternity and the births in Addenbrooke's or A&E or paediatrics there. Obviously, some cases will be there, and I know there's been joint appointments, which is really good.
More men aged 40 to 54 are being admitted to hospital with strokes. The charity, the Stroke Association, says the figure's gone up by more than half over the past 15 years. In sport, Kevin Peterson has been told he will not be recalled by England, despite scoring a career-best 326 not out for Surrey yesterday. The 34-year-old, sacked by England in February last year, met Andrew Strauss, England's new director of cricket, last night. The weather, a cloudy start with some outbreaks of rain this morning, brighter and sunnier this afternoon, a maximum temperature 18 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you, Simon. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. How nice to see. I can't see you. You can't see me. And that's the way it should be. The best behaved foreign students in the world ain't the French. I'm going to say the Japanese. Honestly, the French, they just snake around and they push and they barge, all kinds of things. Very rude. The Japanese, they gave me origami. They gave me origami. And Madame Tussauds, I mean, really, what's the point? 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, The people of Bedfordshire have said no to paying more council tax for more police officers. The county's Police and Crime Commissioner, Ollie Martin, said the additional money would pay for 100 extra officers. But over 69% of those who voted didn't like the idea, and it's been rejected. Well, Ollie Martin joins me now, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire. Ollie, these figures, the 69%, pretty much tallies in with the polls that you undertook before the vote. Why did you proceed?
Well, actually, the YouGov, which was the one that came out worse for us, said that we'd only get 13% of people saying yes. So we did somewhat better than that, but clearly not well enough to get a majority. But what each data source did say was that the more information people had, so if they understood how much they were being asked for, what it would be used for, then the level of support grew. Unfortunately, what's now clear is that one leaflet 5 weeks before people have to vote, and adverts in every free sheet, and myself being on your programme and so on, was not enough information, I think, for people to feel that they were making an informed decision.
Why did you not give more information then?
Because the regulations wouldn't allow me to. I've effectively been gagged and bound by the regulations.
But you knew that would be the case before it happened, didn't you? Yeah.
I did. But, what you don't know is that, we did put, I know this doesn't make very good radio, but we did put one of these leaflets through every letterbox in the county.
Yep.
We paid Royal Mail to do that. We did have an advert in every free sheet. I was pretty much on every media outlet talking about this when I made the decision. So the risk that we took was, is that enough information for people to take an informed decision? And to overcome the difficulty that the question, which again is written by the government's regulations, it wasn't my question, it's not the question I would have put to people. I was bound by what the legislation said.
Ben on Twitter says the referendum was a joke. No one knew what it was about or even about it, and the ballot paper did not explain anything.
No, I know. I think
but you knew that those restrictions were going to be in place, didn't you?
But, the situation I'm facing is we know we've got a £6 million shortfall coming.
Well, closer to £7 million now with the money that's been spent on the referendum.
That's not quite how it works. How
much does this referendum cost?
The cost of the referendum, which is £0.6 million, will be covered from reserves. So what that effectively means is that the money will run out a few months earlier than it would than we know than we already know it's going to run out.
So it's cost you £650,000.
It doesn't increase the size of that shortfall. The shortfall is occurring because the government is reducing the money that it gives us.
But you've spent £650,000.
600,000.
600. That's the exact figure, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've spent £600,000 when the police is already struggling for money.
I took a chance, yes.
But you knew it was a punt. You knew it was a gamble. The polls said, that you were going to lose.
Well, I think we learnt a thing or two about opinion polls last week in the general election. And as I've said,
your polls said you were going to lose.
YouGov said we would only get 13% of people voting yes. We got over 30.
That's irrelevant now, though, isn't it, Ollie? That is irrelevant. The polls said you were going to lose, and you did.
As I said, all our data said that the more information people had, the more support there was for the proposal to increase the precept.
You knew that they wouldn't get more information, though.
No, I didn't.
Well, you did. You knew that the question would be worded in a certain way. You knew that you couldn't do too much publicity because of the restrictions imposed on you. You knew that.
I didn't know that one leaflet through every door in the county, an advert in every free sheet in the county, myself being wall-to-wall in the media, I didn't know that was not enough information to get the right result from this referendum. I do now.
Well, I could have told you that as well 6 months ago, mate. Who reads the adverts in the free papers? Who really looks, how many people really look at the leaflets that come through with Domino's pizzas? And the wall-to-wall on the media? You've been on this show, but I've not seen or heard you anywhere else.
If I turned up and I've got this £6 million shortfall, it's going to mean that we could lose up to 135 officers. That's 12% of our strength. That will take us beneath 1,000 police officers to police Bedfordshire. And I did nothing about that. And I didn't put that situation to the people and, try and do something to bridge that gap. I think I would be neglecting my duty.
Do you not think that chucking away £600,000 is a neglection of duty?
Well, what does that mean? It means that the inevitable crisis that we can see coming will hit a few months earlier.
So it's okay just to waste £600,000?
Well, it's not okay, but, you know, I'm really hemmed in by the powers and the tools that the government will give me to do the job, and I felt that there wasn't an alternative. I could not just sit by, fiddle while Rome burns, and watch the police strength in this county fall by 12% without doing anything.
What effect is this going to have, do you think, on crime in Bedfordshire?
I don't want to be alarmist, because obviously, you know, the government pops up and says, oh, crime has fallen even at a time when we've been losing 17,000 police officers across the country. And, you know, strictly speaking, they're right. So I would not want to draw a direct link between what's going to happen to crime because our police numbers are falling. What I do think is that it will become very difficult for the force to deliver the service that the public expect, and I do have a fear around Bedfordshire effectively being a weak link, and this is specifically in relation to as a force, we are, I think, probably the only force in the country that does not have anywhere near properly resourced community policing. We have since 200 officers were lost as a result of decisions taken by the police authority in 2012, we have had very small teams of PCSOs who do heroic work, but they're stretched ridiculously thin, and they can't deliver the community policing that we need. They can't, and the most important thing that community policing gives you is community intelligence gathering. That is a missing link for Bedfordshire in our fight against serious crime, terrorism, organised crime. You know, we just do not have that intelligence gathering capacity in our communities.
And what impact do you think that will have on the residents? Well, are they more at risk, I guess is the question, because of you not being able to raise more money?
I think what Bedfordshire Police won't be able to do is preventative work or problem solving in local communities. So let's take for example the mini motos thing that's been happening in Houghton Regis, just as an example. You know, that situation develops to such a point that the police have to run a special operation and put specific resources in to deal with that. If you had a community policing footprint, a better community policing footprint, which is what I wanted the referendum to deliver, in the Houghton Regis, you would have the resource to nip that problem in the bud way before it got to the scale of issue that we've now seen, where you have to run specific operation, put in specific resources in order to deal with it. So that's the sort of scenario that I think we will see all too often.
In terms, Bedfordshire are often linked with terrorism and terrorist activity. Do you think that the public is more at risk of terrorist activities because of your lack of people on the street and lack of, you know, the community information?
I think the force will be less effective at spotting the early signs of trouble and of vulnerable people being radicalised or drawn into a life of crime. You know, if you have a community policing footprint in communities, it's far easier for the force to pick up intelligence and to take that preventative and problem-solving approach, and that is the capacity that we lack in Bedfordshire.
I'm going to offer you those headphones, Ollie, because we've got a phone call. We've got Mike Garrett, who's the Conservative group leader on Luton Borough Council. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Mike, you're through to Ollie Martins. What would you like to say?
Well, I think it was a big mistake, wasn't it, calling for a referendum? He had a survey done not long back where 68% of the public said no. He still went ahead with that referendum. I heard what he just said, and I think that is exaggerating beyond the point of no return. there are other local authorities, police authorities up and down the country, all having restrictions put on them by central government.
And they were all, Mike, they were all watching how this turned out, weren't they? I mean, it could be argued that Mr. Martins is kind of a trailblazer. This is still a new job, and he's testing his powers and the public. Because if this had gone the other way, you can bet every other PCC would have been doing the same thing.
Well, thankfully, the people of Bedfordshire had more sense. All it needs is for the police commissioner to relook at the way he operates and runs the police in Bedfordshire. It then would have been a different story. Just like Labour always do, they always want to tax us right up to the hilt, and it's just another tax. And the people of Bedfordshire were not prepared to do it.
Mike, let's put that through to Ollie. Go on.
Well, I'm surprised at Mike. I mean, he's been around long enough to know that Bedfordshire Police has been underfunded for a long time, and that the situation we face here is, a £6 million funding shortfall that's going to potentially reduce the size of the force by 12%, and that's the underlying issue here. It's not an issue about tax and spend. I'm afraid Mike's just talking nonsense.
Well, I wouldn't expect him to say anything different. All I know is that the people of Bedfordshire voted against an increase.
Yeah,
they didn't believe the argument that he was putting forward.
There are two Conservative MPs in the county who voted yes in the referendum and said so quite publicly. So I'm afraid you're just trying to make, and it saddens me, but you're just trying to make a party political point here, where actually everyone, all political stakeholders in Bedfordshire, should be pulling together and presenting the government with a united front to get the resources that we need in this county. Because our underfunding is not something new. It's not something that suddenly happened when I arrived on the scene. This has been going on for years, and we need to sort it out.
Mike, wouldn't you like to see more money spent on the police, more police on the street?
I think we'd all like to see more money spent on the police, but this was not the way to go about it.
What's the way to go about it then?
The way to do it is, of course, you have further consultations with the government. We've got a new government. Consultate with them and say, look, Bedfordshire should be treated as a special case.
Well, hang on a minute, but they're making that it's the government that are making these cuts. They're not going to say, oh, you know that all that millions of pounds we're not going to give you. I tell you what, we're going to give it to you now. They're not going to do that, are they, Mike?
It wouldn't be that at all. I mean, it's fairly obvious that Bedfordshire and all the police forces throughout the UK want more money. That's obvious. But the point is the others are managing without doing this.
Are they managing, though, Mike?
Well, that's because they're not as badly funded as we are and haven't been for years like we have in Bedfordshire.
Well, that's what you're saying. What I'm saying is if...
Well, it also happens to be what the Chief Constable is saying.
Mike, you can't for a minute be suggesting that the police have got enough money.
What I'm saying is that other local authorities in Bedfordshire, in the UK, managed to do what they need to do for the police.
They were all watching this referendum to see what the outcome was.
We are a small, rurally funded force that faces urban challenges. No, I don't think there's any other police force that is in that position in this country, and that's why our position is unique, and that's why this is a historic issue. You know, we've always been underfunded. We've never been funded properly in relation to the risks that we face.
Mike, listen, I'm going to move on. Thank you very much, Mike Garrett, Conservative Group Leader and Luton Borough Council. Let's go to Pat. Morning, Pat.
Morning, Ian.
Go on, what do you want to say?
Well, Ollie shouldn't expect us to plug the gap in Bedfordshire, the residents of Bedfordshire, to plug the gap on national security. I mean, we do enough paying our taxes for that kind of thing.
Well, that's what the tax is. You know, that's what tax is. It goes towards the police force.
Right.
You wouldn't be prepared to pay a little bit extra more to get more police officers?
No, I think there's a deficiency in the leadership of our police force. There's been a deficiency in it for many years now. Ollie talks about off-road motorcycles. If he had the resources, he would nip it in the bud. That's been going on for the last 20 years. Is that called nipping it in the bud?
Well, with respect to Mr. Martins, he's only been in the job just over 2 years, hasn't he?
He's been in the job over over 2 years. We find in Houghton Regis we don't have any police officers in Houghton Regis. We have PCSOs, and that's not what we pay for.
Sorry, that's why we had the referendum, to give people the opportunity to have that community policing footprint that people tell me repeatedly they want. And unfortunately, this is the only lever I had to deliver that. Because, you know, what we shouldn't forget is that, you know, behind the scenes, we are in the process of, on top of this £6 million shortfall that we face, we are already in the process of saving £17.5 million, and that's due to the impact of government funding cuts.
Ollie, we don't believe you. We don't believe you for other reasons.
Well, hang on a minute.
You should be looking for other ways to fund.
Let me just. Have you heard of an organisation called Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary? Okay, this is an organisation charged with Parliament with making independent assessments of police forces, right? And they have said about Bedfordshire Police that we face a particular challenge because of the scale of financial savings that must be made. There are limited opportunities to reduce costs because we are already a low-cost force. We're a small force with low financial reserves, and we face a challenging crime mix and face an unusually high level of serious threats and criminality for a force of its size. So that's what the Independent Police Inspectorate says about us. It's not just me.
No,
it's not even just the Chief Constable. That is what the Independent Police Watchdog says about Bedfordshire Police.
You put your eggs all in one basket, and you should be out there finding another way, and there should be other ways to find them. I said to you about PCSOs.
If you were listening an hour ago, you would have heard Mr. Slew say that we all went down to Parliament and lobbied the policing minister, and yes, we did get a small one-off grant, but we didn't get an answer to the ongoing underfunding of Bedfordshire Police. And unfortunately, our pleas keep falling on deaf ears. Now, that's the only thing I've got left to try, and I'll do it again. I'll take Mr. Slew up on his offer to go and lobby the policing minister, but to be honest, I'm not holding my breath.
Pat,
we're now hoping with you in charge.
Pat, well, hang on a second, Pat, calm down. Listen, you can't expect to have more coppers without more money being spent, can you?
Ian, I've been listening to this argument, and I know Ollie hasn't been in a job a couple of years or so. He's been in a job a couple of years. When I was a councillor, and we're talking 30 years ago, and I've been over that time ringing up the police and what they're going to do for this town of Houghton Regis. All you get is we haven't got the resources. It's nothing new.
But that's what this referendum, had it gone the other way, would have worked towards addressing that problem.
Do you really think so? Because when Ollie gave out the figures, he didn't say there was going to be police officers stationed in Houghton Regis again. He picked out certain areas, but Houghton Regis was not one of them.
It was 30 officers for Central Bedfordshire.
Yeah, but you actually specifically put where you were going to put the officer, but you never once mentioned Houghton Regis.
That's the Chief Constable's job, not mine.
Pat, listen, I'm going to move on. You've had a fair crack at it. Let's just take one more call. Let's go to Mary in Hemel. Morning, Mary.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
Well, I'd just like to say I can understand the problem with the police shortages. It's all over the country, but I cannot see the point of why money has been thrown at either councillors or these mayors, and also these police commissioners. Now, if the mayors can now overrule anything that the councillors can want to pass, what is the point of the councillors? There's a lot of money then thrown to them now.
Yeah, that's a criticism of the whole system, isn't it? That's not necessarily a criticism of Ollie and the referendum.
No, but what I'm saying...
Would you want to pay a little bit more money each year to have more police officers?
Well, it was according to how much, I suppose.
7 pence a day. You get 100 coppers.
No. Yes, that would be nothing. But what was the point of the police commissioner? There's, 85,000 or 100,000?
Well, if you'd have voted Labour, Mary, then you could have got them out. Ollie's breathing a sigh of relief, the Tories one. He's kept his job.
Not quite.
Nothing to do with that's irrelevant. I just think the point is we're throwing money away in certain areas that needn't be thrown away.
That's what austerity measures
I take being cost efficient, even in terms of my office, very seriously, and that's why in the 2.5 years that I've been in office, I've cost the public purse £250,000 less than the police authority cost in its last 2.5 years in office.
Ollie, I'm going to ask the question. I know what the answer is. Are you going to stand down?
What, for doing my job?
For potentially what could be called wasting £600,000.
Well, I think I've set out why I don't think it is a waste, and I think I've got important work to do here, and people will be able to pass their verdicts on me when we have an election next year.
Ollie Martin, thank you very much.
Every weekday from 3. Local stories.
People in Watford are being urged to celebrate their local heroes by creating a postcard in their honour. In other local news, rugby fans are being warned to watch out for fake World Cup tickets.
Roberto Peroni.
Now, a metal detectorist has discovered an archaeological find in a field near Royston in Hertfordshire. Taxi drivers in Luton are demanding to be allowed to drive in bus lanes at all times. There is to be a new station at the Leighton Buzzard Narrow Gauge Railway.
Roberto Peroni. Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio. Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. It's BBC Three Counties Radio. We missed the travel, we'll miss the news. We'll get to those at past. I promise. I just thought it was worth sticking around with Ollie Martins a little bit longer. Now, the people... Oh, no, that's the wrong thing. Hang on 1 second. Let me click on... There. Hang on a second, blimey. Thank you very much indeed. A mother and daughter from Watford have pleaded guilty to fraudulently claiming over £200,000 in benefits. 70-year-old Bushra Begum and her daughter Tabassum had 100 different accounts in a variety of names. The multiple fraud was uncovered by Watford Borough Council. Well, Norman Cowan is an insolvency expert and forensic accountant from Hertfordshire. Morning, Norman.
Good morning.
Why do you think... It's an interesting one, this, isn't it? Because I would have thought it'd been really difficult to have done a fraud as big as this.
Well, yes, I mean, it's not unknown. I think it's a matter of deceit and hiding the facts. I mean, you know, you've got, for example, £156,000 in 79 bank accounts. That's an average of £1,900 an account. Now, that probably would fall below the radar of the revenue for interest purposes, and it would just escape. I think that it's been carefully planned.
Oh, it's very clever that they had so many bank accounts. Goodness knows how they can be bothered. But I mean, the flaw in the system would be, I suppose. I mean, how do they do it? Do they just go to loads of different job centres, loads of different councils?
I just don't know. That they must do, because there's normally a tie-up, from what I can gather, because I actually I represent defendants in legal aid where there is benefit fraud. But the interesting thing is that in some cases they are entitled to some benefits, but they overdo it. And I think here it's where they've just lied. They may well have had separate identities. We just don't know from that article in the paper.
You're a forensic accountant, Norman. What exactly does that mean?
I'm asked to really analyse accounts and draw conclusion from anything to do with accountancy and where that relates to fraud. So
you will sit there with checkbooks. I'm so old. You'll sit there with bank statements and receipts and all those kind of things, and try and follow the trail of the money.
Yeah, that's right, and to see where the money's gone.
And how does that help catch people who have defrauded the benefit system?
Well, I mean, I'm really after the event, but I found that in my experience that they do get caught out.
Yeah.
Normally because they get greedy and they want to claim for something they shouldn't claim for, and the person on the other side of the counter says, "Hold on, this isn't actually right." I mean, if I give you an example
go on.
of where I defended a particular person who had emphysema, and he was signed off, and his wife got all sorts of benefits, he got benefits, but of course he was driving a lorry from sort of London to Glasgow and back, and he got caught out because he wanted to claim for something.
Right.
And the woman behind it said, "Hold on, this can't be right. You're already on the payroll, you know." And they got a private detective. I mean, sooner or later they will get found out. And of course, you see, it depends what's the link. Now, you know, let's just say that these people went to. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. I thought you went dead on me.
No, not at all, Norman.
Let's say they go to different locations with different names. Now, you would think there should be some sort of link up somewhere along the line between the mother and daughter.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, both of them were claiming
Yeah.
at the same address. And then, of course, they moved. And now I thought, well, hold on. Did they move to rented accommodation, or did they buy the accommodation over in Chesham? And I suppose, how far do you go to investigate? Who's got the time and who's got the manpower?
Norman, I am going to move on now. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your time. Norman Cowan is an insolvency expert and forensic accountant from Hertfordshire. Oh, wait, that was the chair. 08459 455 555. Right, let's catch up with the Trav. Here's Sammy. Whoa! What? Crazy!
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are still delays on the M1 southbound because the exit slip road is being partially blocked at junction 12 for Flitwick, and on the M25 there's a lane closed clockwise between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield. That's causing queues back to junction 22 for St Albans. In Hemel Hempstead on Bedman Road there's been an accident, so it's been blocked in both directions at Bunkers Lane. There are queues back from Leverstock Green Road, but there's also delays on Breakspear Way in both directions between Leverstock Greenway and the M1 junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. And it's also busier than usual southbound on Leverstock Greenway because of that accident too. In Bedford on the A421, that's got queues in both directions between the A6 and Harrodon Road. We're hearing reports that it's almost stationary eastbound. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, cards and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner Ollie Martin says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. South West Bedfordshire MP Andrew Selous has told this programme the county's MPs must lobby the government over the way the force is funded. The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister, but Downing Street are denying it's a demotion. And the online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable which will create 500 permanent jobs. It's at Prologis Park in Boscombe Road and is due to open in the autumn.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kevin Peterson has been told he will not be recalled by England despite scoring a career-best 326 not out for Surrey yesterday. The 34-year-old, sacked by England in February last year, met Andrew Strauss, England's new director of cricket, last night. Strauss faces the media today. Alex Stewart is Surrey's director of cricket.
Colin Graves, incoming chairman of the ECB, did say it's a clean slate, we'll start again, go and score runs, and then things can be revisited. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell Andrew Strauss how to do his job. He very much has to be his own man. He has to make his own decisions. But what I will say, it would be a real shame if the cricketing public are denied the chance to see Kevin in an England shirt again.
In last night's Premier League game, Arsenal lost 1-0 at home to Swansea. Swindon are through to face Preston in the League One playoff final after a 10-goal thriller against Sheffield United. It finished 5-5 to send Swindon through 7-6 on aggregate. The Wycombe striker Paul Hayes has told Three Counties Sport he'll be fit for Thursday's playoff semi-final second leg against Plymouth. Hayes was injured in the first leg after scoring the opening goal in Wanderers' 3-2 win. And the Boreham Wood manager Ian Allinson says he'd like to keep Luton's Lee Angle after the on-loan striker helped them to promotion to the conference.
It'd be great if we could, but I think it's something that we're going to have a look at. But certainly we'll need a couple of decent forwards to go with what we've got. Julie Moraes is obviously his deal's up at the moment, so we need to obviously sit and speak to him. Obviously we've offered him re-engagement terms, so hopefully we can keep people like Junior and that.
And Hertfordshire's Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton says he expects to sign a new contract with Mercedes in time for the Monaco Grand Prix in 2 weeks. Negotiations have gone on since the turn of the year, but he denies a deal has been held up by wage demands. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC
Jonathan Vernon Smith and I both looking forward to the move to the new studios in Dunstable.
Oh, yes.
And also looking forward to the many, many, many hours of training that we've got. Mm-hmm. I'm stuck up in a room tomorrow for goodness knows how many hours being spoken down to by somebody. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, better that
yes
than you go on air in the new building without any idea how to use it.
I don't know how to work this studio, and I managed to get by. For good, I don't know how to use this one. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, wasn't Ollie Martins a bit spunkier this morning than usual?
He was spunkier.
He was full of spunk.
He was, absolutely.
I think it's the best he's done on this show, and I said to him as I left, I said, Ollie, mate, if you'd have been doing that for the last 2.5 years, I think people would have a different perception. He argued his point really, really well.
It's a bit like Nick Clegg's resignation speech, though. Again, where was that a few weeks ago? They might have done a bit better.
I'm glad Nigel Farage is back, because I missed that guy. How can that happen?
He is hilarious.
Right, that's it. I'm going to resign. No, Nigel, I don't accept your resignation. OK, I'm back. That's it. How did that work?
I thought it was hilarious enough when he did his whole kind of, I'm gonna have a summer off and then come back and may put my hat in the ring again. Now he's not even doing that.
His hat hardly left his head.
Hilarious.
And he's also, I love the fact as well, you've got Ed Miliband and Nick Clegg and all the Lib Dems and a lot of the Labour's going, well, this is terrible. Not Farage going, well, this is the happiest I've felt in a long time. I thought that was an amazingly honest thing. That's the best I've felt in years. Bless him for his honesty and his casual racism.
But I like the fact that he made when he lost.
Yeah.
He made quite a big thing of it's actually quite a relief.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to win anyway.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be the leader again of the party. This is the man who already said when he met that couple off Gogglebox he had no interest whatsoever in being the Prime Minister.
Fantastic.
So why is he leading a political party?
Fantastic. I love it. What's on your show today? It's not Nigel Farage, is it?
No, it's Ollie Martins.
Oh, OK.
I'm going to be asking from 9 this morning, are the people of Bedfordshire stupid for refusing to pay for more police? The people of Bedfordshire, as you've been describing this morning, Iain, have said no to paying more council tax for more police. The county's the Police and Crime Commissioner, Ollie Martins, said the additional money would pay for 100 extra officers, but 69% of those who voted no.
Yeah.
Beds Police say they don't have enough funding, but they'll do their best to combat terrorism, cyber attacks, child abuse and gang crime. Well, from 9 this morning, I want us to take this debate on. I'm going to be asking, are the people of Bedfordshire stupid for refusing to pay for more police? I'd love your view on 08459 455 555 from 9.
We've had a few people saying, well, why should we pay for it? Well, you do. It's called tax. That's where your tax goes to. Why should we pay for the police? Why should we pay for extra police? Well, that's kind of the choice.
The trouble is, it's in some ways I feel a bit sorry for Ollie Martins because what he was saying earlier about the question had to be set, I gather, by the Electoral Commission. He couldn't set the question.
No.
So had the question been, are you happy to pay an extra £1.97 a month?
Yeah.
For your council to have more police, 100 extra police on the streets, I think you'd have to be a bit of a dimwit to have said no.
But it said something like, do you want to pay an extra 16%? Which
exactly.
That sounds like a fortune.
Exactly.
No way.
Exactly. I mean, my council tax is about 200 and something a month. To pay another 16% on that, I'd be thinking, well, I'm not paying another 16% on that. It's going to cost me loads. But £1.97. I mean, it's a bargain, isn't it, for 100 extra police?
Yeah, well, possibly.
So, ultimately, were people silly not to have looked into it a bit more and worked out exactly how much it was going to cost? From 9 this morning, we'll discuss it. Are the people of Bedfordshire stupid for refusing to pay for more police?
Just stop. You should just stop it there. Are the people of Bedfordshire stupid? Call me at 9. That's all you need.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Also, it's got to be said, fair play to Ollie Martins, OK? He comes in pretty much whenever we ask him, sometimes when we don't ask him to, and more often than not, that man has taken a kicking. He's come in because, I mean, you all know the kind of things that he's been involved in. And he comes in and he takes a kick in. And he came in today, and I really thought, I was really impressed by his performance. And I did say to him when he left, mate, and I called him mate. I said, mate, if you'd have done that 6 months ago, when you first, put forward the suggestion of raising the council tax, I think the vote would have gone more in your way. If you'd have done that 2 years ago, I think people would think certainly differently of you. I mean, not for me to tell him, little bit of media coaching, a bit like John Gaunt, me, and I, Dealey. Any Tom, Dick, or Abdul. But
I do echo what you're saying. Not many people in his position of power would sit there in a studio, a live environment, and take phone calls. He doesn't know what's coming next, but he's prepared to do that.
And I thought he handled those. Whether you agree with them or not is another thing. I just saw in Ollie Martins today. I just saw a little bit of spunk.
Yeah,
that's all I can. There was the passion. There was more passion there than I'd heard from him at any point.
I think sometimes you go into the unknown, though, especially with a job like that. It's a new role, how to deal with the people. Maybe he's just simply got used to it, and now he knows exactly what he's doing. I don't know.
Could be too late.
Could be.
Justin.
Yes.
Madam Two Swords. Let me just go to Kelly Betts. Kelly Betts on the text. Have we had any texters from people saying, oh, Madam, I agree with Justin. Madam Two Swords is well worth the £30 to be crushed by French 13-year-olds with funny bum fluff moustaches and to see people who you don't know who they are until you've read the name badge. Have we had anybody saying that?
No.
Justin?
Well, I've taken this one to the streets because...
it's a short package you've given me, Justin. 55 seconds.
To be fair...
seconds.
To be fair to me, I mean, I could fill your programme with 20 minutes of people saying how fantastic it is, but that'll be boring for you because you don't like the place, and no matter what the people say on the streets, you don't care, do you?
What do you mean I don't care?
You don't care.
Of course I care.
In your mind, it's rubbish. Your mind can't be changed.
If they're wrong, Justin, then yes, it's rubbish.
I've taken this one to the streets. Conclusive proof here as to why people absolutely adore the tourist attraction that is Madame Tussauds.
Such a plum. Here we go.
Rachel, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Rachel, you've been to Madame Tussauds. How was your experience? Was it a fantastic day out for you?
Yes, it was.
Who was your favourite waxwork?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Oh. Ow!
Yeah.
Ow! Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it can be a bit boring sometimes.
So you had a great day out. That's good to know. Thanks, madam.
Thanks.
Just be honest, madam. You've been there. How was your experience?
It's a good one. I loved it.
You loved it?
Yeah.
Who was your favourite celebrity in wax?
President Obama, of course.
I'll take it, thank you. Let's get the Philippines perspective. Madame Tussauds, you've been? Fantastic day out for you, sir?
Yeah, it's very fantastic and nice.
And the waxworks themselves?
Yeah.
Incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, it's very incredible.
That's a great Philippines perspective. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Right. I know what you've done there.
What have I done?
You've done that thing when you go out with a bit of paper and say, could you say this for me, please? I'm in a rush.
No, do you know what? Genuinely, I haven't today.
No, mate.
Great perspectives there. Rachel, I loved. I love the...
Well, the Filipino perspective doesn't count.
Why?
Because it's attractive to tourists.
Okay.
That's like going up to a Frenchman going, do you like the Eiffel Tower? No, I do not like it. It is a pain in the bum. But tourists, you never see a Frenchman atop the Eiffel Tower. It's always tourists.
Look, at the end of the day, it's something which is on our doorstep. We're so lucky to be in this part of the world.
It's not on our doorstep. It's miles.
You could be up north.
It's a really difficult part of London to get to, and it's rubbish.
You could be eating chips with gravy every single day up north. We are here. We are here in the south of the country. It's on our doorstep. You know, try it, enjoy it. Just go and have a good time. Stop being so neg.
I've been, mate. Oh no, maybe I haven't. But
exactly.
But I know what it is. It's just giant candles that are supposed to look like Tom Cruise.
Kids love it.
Well, to get a kid in there, it's like 20 quid. Take them to the Science Museum, mate, for free.
Yeah, but this is the problem with our society nowadays. It's all about celebrity. Kids, if you offer them science or celebrities, what are they going to go for?
Well, yeah, that's our fault as parents then. They should be... My kids will go for science.
Well, but deep down you know they want celeb. Hence the fact you're taking them to go and see the monkeys.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, I'm only taking my eldest. The youngest is probably too young. Do you know I'm going to go and see Paul McCartney?
Yeah, we're going, aren't we?
Well, I'll tell you what it was like the day after, yeah?
All right, mate.
Thanks, buddy. 08459 455 555. On Twitter, Pink Pig says, strong performance from Ollie Martins this morning. Shame it's too late. And Scott says, Ollie Martins had a bit more spunk about him today. It suited him. I don't know. Your thoughts on Ollie's performance this morning? 08459 455 555. It felt a bit feistier. Hey, the Americans have got something right at last. You know what they're doing? You know, Matt, do you know what the Americans are scrapping?
Tumbleweed.
They're not scrapping tumbleweed, mate. No, they're keeping tumbleweed. Have a guess what... Do you know what the Americans are scrapping, Kelly Betts?
Sorry. I've just come up with an idea. Supersize hamburgers.
They got rid of that.
Did they?
Yes, after Supersize Me, yep.
The Lincoln Memorial.
No.
The White House.
No, mate. I'm not asking you. Kelly, what are the Americans getting rid of? At last. At long last. They've seen the light. That's not a clue.
Oh, I don't know. Coffee. Drive-through coffee things.
American Idol.
Oh, really?
They're axing American Idol.
Yeah.
About flipping time, guys. Can we follow suit? Can we get rid of Simon Cowell? Because Britain's Got Talent, right? Well, they're not British. And the Hypno Dog woman, well, her dad barred me from going to see one of his shows many years ago, but they're all professional acts. There was someone on a trampoline on it the other day. They're from the Moscow State Circus. They're all professional acts. And the pop art, okay. Reality TV show American Idol is to be axed after its 15th series next year. The pop music contest, which started on Fox in 2002, made Simon Cowell a household name, as he's a judge alongside Paula Abdul. Yeah, I know it is, mate. I do a radio show on here every day. Don't remind me. Randy Jackson. I'm Randy Jackson, and I used to work on Pop Idol. Now, I work at McDonald's. The format was based on British hit Pop Idol, and at its height, it pulled in more than 30 million viewers. Cowell, 55, left in 2010 to start rival US X Factor. Oh, for goodness sakes, guys. Isn't it time we got rid of Simon Cowell?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, there are delays clockwise from junction 24 for Potters Bar to 25 for Enfield after a vehicle broke down earlier carrying a crane and a fuel spillage was on the road. They are clearing that up, so it should be easing off very shortly. The M1 northbound has queues at junction 12 for Flitwick, but the entry slip road at junction 12 for Flitwick has now been cleared of the broken down lorries, so those delays on the M1 should start to ease off too. On the M14 northbound from the Denham roundabout towards the M25, it's looking really slow, and in Hemel Hempstead, Bedman Road has been closed in both directions between Bunkers Lane and at Bunkers Lane. That's causing queues from Leverstock Green Road. It's also looking really busy in both directions on the A241 in Bedford as a result between the A6 and Harrodin Road. On the train departure boards, there are no major delays at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Big up yourself, Sammy Bruff! Feeling bruff. Oh, no, that sounds rude. I didn't mean it like that. 8:46. It's Tuesday, the 12th of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. The Welwyn-Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister. And the online company Amazon is opening a new centre in Dunstable, which is set to create 500 jobs. Is the weather with Kate.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cloudy out there this morning, rather grey, and also we're just about starting to see some of this rain pushing its way south and eastwards towards us. It's patchy light rain, shouldn't really amount to much, and it's not going to last all day, so in the next couple of hours it will push through. Behind it we should get some nice sunny spells. Could also see one or two showers this afternoon, but they'll blow through. A bit more of a breeze today, so it will feel a bit cooler than yesterday. We're looking at a maximum of around 18 Celsius. Overnight it's going to be dry and clear, temperatures dropping right down. Pretty chilly actually. We could even get a little bit of frost in the more prone spots. Minimum though widespread down to around 5 Celsius. A chilly start tomorrow, but plenty of sunshine. It will warm up quite nicely, but still feel a little cooler than today thanks to a little bit of a northeasterly breeze. It's not a strong one, but it will knock the edge off the temperatures. Maximum temperature 16 Celsius, 61 degrees in Fahrenheit, and that's your forecast.
Every weekday morning.
Coming up at 9 on the Big Phone In this morning, is it a good idea to make jobless teenagers work for their benefits? How would you like this country to stand up to President Putin? Are you surprised to see British people being blatantly racist?
The JVS Show.
I think we've got to get over this issue about racism doesn't exist. It has existed. It will probably carry on existing.
What I wanted to say is they've got this completely the wrong way round. You know, that is also true. That is also true.
You will always get some, but they are such a minority.
I think the man's a buffoon. Get him up, get him out of bed, give him a sense of purpose.
The JVS Show.
Do you think we have got to, as a country, start taking this issue more seriously?
Every weekday morning on BBC Three Counties Radio. Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Paul's in Bletchley. Morning, Paul.
Oh, morning, Ian. How you going?
I'm hungry, but I'm off to a toy shop after the show to see if I can buy a plastic cricket set for my boys.
Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. You see?
What's wrong with the old willow and the beautiful English willow?
Well, they're only 5 and 3. I don't really want my boys to have access to a real cricket bat. That could get nasty, Paul. They lose their temper.
Yes.
And also, we saw a nice family playing with one of these ones over in the park, and you didn't have to stick the stumps in. It kind of comes on its little ready-made thing. So you just do all that. It'll be easy, I think.
Yeah. Be lovely, wouldn't it? Lovely.
Yeah.
Let's hope it was a beautiful day yesterday afternoon, and let's hope it maybe turns that way today.
Beautiful, Paul.
Yeah.
What you got for us, fella?
Well, I mean, talking about Ollie Martin and all this referendum, I mean, I think the tail's wagging the dog at the moment. I'd come at it from the other end of the equation. And
the mouth.
Let's have some much bigger fines. I mean, litter is a thing, you know, which is obviously illegal. I mean, I would have £500 fines for people who throw rubbish out of cars. I mean, that's a deliberate act, you know, so...
Yeah, but you're not going to get... you're still not going to get an extra few million quid a year out of that, are you?
Well, you might save a bit because you would need the money you were spending on the litter pickers, you know, and the road sweepers, etc., could then possibly be diverted into the police. But I mean, at the moment,
but it's all separate, isn't it? The police, and I didn't Luton recently. I think in the last couple of years, they got rid of a load of street cleaners to save money, and that just because everyone's making cuts. It's not like we're going to cut cleaners and then we're going to put that money into the police. It's we're going to cut cleaners and we're going to save that money.
Yeah. I mean, you can throw as many police as you like at the problem, but if the penalties are not there to enforce it, I mean, it's a bit like driving and on the phone, etc., texting and all that sort of thing, and speeding as well. I mean, I would have really heavy fines for 30 mile an hour if you exceed it, and so that the urban roads or the estate roads are given back to the residents. You know.
Did you hear Ollie Martins this morning?
A little bit, yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered what you thought of his performance this morning compared to previous.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, well, yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, at least he's raising the issues. But as I say, I mean, I live in Milton Keynes and it's a beautiful city. But some places, the parks, you they go and clean them up, and the next thing you know, you've got sort of, cans everywhere. You know, it's not desperate, but I mean, New York had a zero tolerance policy. As I say, if we're going to bring laws in, whether it's speeding, whether it's littering, let's enforce it. If we're going to bother to make laws,
shoot them,
let's
Paul.
Enforce it.
Let's shoot them. Let's bring back hanging for little outs.
Definitely.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call, you're more than welcome to. There's a weird story in the Mail today, and I don't quite understand this gentleman's raison d'etre for doing this, right? Because some people are weird, right? Some people are weird, aren't they, Matt?
Yes.
Okay. Have a listen to this, right? How tall are you, Matt?
5'6".
Okay, so you're a wee fella. Okay, because there's a thing in the paper.
Just because you're taller, you're showing off.
Well, no, I just look down on people like you.
Yes,
literally.
You are. I know you do.
Literally and metaphorically.
Ollie Martin, for one, you look down on.
What do you mean? He's a tall fella.
He's quite a nice bloke.
What did you hear him this morning?
That's the reason I'm phoning up.
Go on then, fella. All right, just calm down.
Why we can't pay the extra £2 a month, I cannot understand.
Well, people voted against it.
Well, they're all wrong.
Tell me why.
It's the same as people voted for the Conservatives. They're all wrong.
Right. Well,
Ollie
hang on.
Ollie
They can't
Martin's
all
done
be.
his best.
They can't all be wrong. You can't say that everybody's wrong. 50,000 Elvis fans can't be wrong. They voted that way. They voted against the rise in the council tax. It's their decision.
I'm sorry, Ollie Martin's right. He needs that extra money to police the area.
But it's cost him £600,000. He's
doesn't
lost.
matter. He
well,
has
he's
to pay.
He's
You've got
lost.
to pay this for advertising.
Matt, he's lost £600,000. Is that all right? Well, is
How
it?
much does 3 counties pay for advertising you people?
I've got absolutely no idea. I've got no idea. What's the
There you
connection
are, and
between
that's
that and the
probably
coppers?
Yeah. But you've got to pay out. If you've got to advertise these things, you've got to pay out.
Yeah.
Why the people can't pay the extra £2, I do not know.
No, but Matt, it's cost him £600,000. That and hardly any of that was spent on advertising.
It doesn't matter.
He's lost 600 grand.
He needs the 6 million to get the extra police.
Yeah, well, he's lost
He needs the
600.
extra police.
He's lost £600,000.
It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter.
It's peanuts.
It doesn't matter that a police force that is struggling to make ends meet, that is having to make cuts willy-nilly, cheeky, has
Sorry,
just
he's
chucked
lost-
away 600 grand.
He's lost 600 because he's lost his argument. If he had got the money from the government, he wouldn't have been losing £600,000. Come on, Ian.
You're talking nonsense, man.
No, I'm
Even
not
by your
talking
standards, this is especially poor.
No. Oh, come on, Ian. You're turning it round again.
No,
One
I'm not
minute you're
about-
slagging him. Now you're praising him. Now you're going back to slagging him again.
I'm not slacking him off. I'm just saying 600
Yes,
grand.
you always do.
No, Matt, I don't. And you don't listen. You need to clean your lug holes out.
Oh, that's
600
it. Put the
grand.
emphasis on me
Yeah,
again.
well, it is on you, mate, because you haven't got a clue. You haven't got a clue what's going on.
Oh, no,
Do you know what day it is today, Matt?
The people that voted to pay for the police.
Okay, so you're one of the minority. How does it feel?
Great.
To be a minority.
I'd still say it again.
Okay. But so,
Love
and you're
you,
happy
Ian.
with
Love you.
You're happy. I don't love you today, Matt. I'm in a bad mood with you. So you're happy that Ollie Martin's just how can I? I nearly said something I shouldn't. Just threw away £600,000. You're happy with
He
that?
threw away £600 because he lost.
So he threw it away. You're happy with that?
Ian, he had to pay it to advertise.
No, it wasn't for the advertising, Matt. He didn't spend 600 grand on advertising.
Sorry, Ian, it all comes in. If he'd have got the money, we'd all be laughing
That's
now.
correct,
We'd all
Paul,
be
yes.
walking the streets. Happy as...
Walking the streets? We'd all be prostitutes.
You asked the people in Houghton Regis if he should have paid that money. You asked them. You know I'm right on this.
I know that you're a
asked
muppet,
the
mate.
Ask the people at Houghton Regis how they voted.
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, there you go, see? This is it.
All right, Matt.
Anyway.
How do we end this peacefully, Matt? Because this is, this has got off to a bad start.
I think Ollie Martin's done a great job, and he's doing a great job, and he's now...
If you love him so much, why don't you consider buying him an engagement ring?
Oh, dear.
And then proposing to him.
You're going into the old sarcasm.
Do you know what you and Ollie
Martin... up to Leicester Arms so we can finish this argument off.
You know what you and Ollie Martins are, don't you, Matt?
What? Oh, my God, yeah.
This is what you and Ollie Martins are.
I love it.
You're going to sing this song and dedicate it to Ollie?
He's the best.
Go on, you sing
my
it.
hero.
You dedicate this to your hero, Ollie Martins. Away you go.
When she's lonely, he's more than just a friend. He's the one she longs
to give a party to.
Daytime
friends and nighttime lovers, hoping no one else discovers where they go, what they do, in a secret hideaway. Daytime friends and nighttime lovers,
they don't
wanna hurt the other, so they laugh in the nighttime and shake hands in the light of day. Come on, Ollie Martin. £2 extra a month, peanuts.
There's no peace of mind, just a longing for the way things should have been.
Ollie's listening, sing it to him, Matt.
I love it.
Why some men never find that a woman needs a lover
secret hideaway. They got friends and got lovers. They don't want to hurt the others. So they love in the nighttime and shake hands in the light of day.
Last chance, Matt. Sing it to Ollie Martins.
Love it, Ollie. Love
Here we
you,
go.
Ollie. Come on, Ollie. Are you all right? Hoping no one else discovers where they go, what they do, in the secret hideaway. They got friends and got lovers. They don't want to hurt the others, so they love in the nighttime and shake hands in the light of day.
That's for you, Ollie. That's from Matt. That's the weirdest 3.5 minutes of radio I've ever been involved in.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's easing off now on the M1 southbound where the lorry broke down at junction 12 for Flitwick. That entry slip road is easing off, but it's still queuing northbound from junction 12 for Flitwick. In Bedford on the A421 eastbound, there's a lane blocked because a vehicle's broken down between the A6 and Harrowden Road. That's causing delays on the Bedford Southern Bypass and on Amptill Road. In Hemel Hempstead on Breakspear Way, there are queues in both directions between Leverstock Greenway and the M1 junction 7 Hemel Hempstead because of an accident on Bedman Road. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much indeed. I think that's the first time that anywhere on radio we've had an elderly man singing a love song to a police and crime commissioner. Wowzers! Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Skynes. Back tomorrow at 6. Till then, ta-ta.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon Smith. It's Tuesday, it's 9 o'clock, and on today's big phone-in, are the people of Bedfordshire stupid for refusing to pay for more police? The people of Bedfordshire have said no to paying more council tax for more police. The county's Police and Crime Commissioner, Ollie Martins, said the additional money would pay for 100 extra officers, but 69% of those who voted no. Beds Police say they don't have enough funding, but they will do their best to combat terrorism, cyber attacks, child abuse and gang crime. Well, I want to hear from you this morning. Are the people of Bedfordshire stupid for refusing to pay more for more police? Pick up the phone, come on and have your say. Here's my telephone number. It's 08459 455 555.
This is the JVS show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'll take your call in just a second, but first, let's get the latest BBC News at 9 o'clock. Here's Simon Oxley.
The headlines: Beds Police Commissioner warns county could be security weak link. Welwyn Hatfield MP not demoted, say Downing Street. And Amazon creating 500 new jobs in Dunstable.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says the county could become the weak link in the nation's security after the public rejected his plans to charge more council tax to fund more officers. Deputy Chief Constable John Boucher says the public should be reassured they're making groundbreaking changes to tackle crime. He says Ollie Martins made a brave decision and asked for a relatively small amount of money, but Commissioner Martins says they could lose over 130 officers.
The force will be less effective at spotting the early signs of trouble. And of people, vulnerable people, being radicalised or drawn into a life of crime.
The Welwyn Hatfield MP Grant Shapps has lost his job as Tory party chairman in the cabinet reshuffle. He becomes International Development Minister, but Downing Street are denying it's a demotion. There's also speculation that Aylesbury MP David Liddington is likely to lose his position as Europe Minister. More from Paul Scoynes.